welcome back to the Over the Shoulder podcast, episode 22. This week we're going over the NXT and NXT UK championships. That includes, of course, the world title, women's title, tag team titles, the women's tag team titles, North American, and of course all the NXT UK titles. Now, once again, like every week, I'm here with Rob, but this week we have a very, very special guest. So do you want to go ahead and introduce him, Rob?
Another exciting episode, Max. And, we just came off of a huge episode last week dealing with the Attitude Era Figures Incline, the 2001, where we had 5 guests. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have 5 guests today, but we do have someone who is absolutely just amazing in this hobby. Max and I are huge fans of his. Pretty much a brief introduction. He will give an introduction, but he created Wrestling Review Society. Very, very big on Twitch, very, very big on YouTube. Just a humongous group. Really knows belt collecting, really knows the details about belts, and we are really excited to have him on here for this episode. But Kevin Rodriguez is making his debut on the Over the Shoulder podcast. So Kevin, why don't you say hello to all the fans?
Hey, what's going on, guys? First and foremost, huge shout out to Max and Rob for allowing me to come on here. I appreciate you talking about Wrestling Review Society and the Twitch and everything. I can't take full credit for creating Wrestling Review Society. My partner at the time, Wayne, we kind of came up with that together, and we ran it for about 2 years together, maybe a year and a half, somewhere around there, before he decided to go do his own thing, and wish him the best of luck, him and his wife doing great things. But I had a lot of help. It wasn't just me, and I want to make sure that I recognize them for everything that they put into it without just making it sound like it was all me. But yeah, another shout out to Wayne because he's actually the person who got me in to belt collecting. I didn't know there was such thing as a belt hobby. I didn't know there was such thing as belt collectors. I used to go over to Wayne's house all the time and see his belts, and he's the one who kind of got me into it. Actually, a funny story really quick. I had one belt. The ECW tag title, 2mm, and I was actually going to sell it to Wayne. And he kind of talked me out of it. He was like, "Hey man, hold on to it. If you decide in 6 months or a year from now that you still want to sell it, I'll be happy to buy it. But I think you're going to want to get into like collecting it and stuff." And he talked me out of it. And because he did that, and he brought me into his YouTube videos at the time, which later on became our YouTube videos, that's what started it all. So even though him and I don't work together anymore, I still would not be here without him introducing me to the hobby and him bringing me into the hobby. But yeah, you brought up Wrestling Review Society and stuff like that, and I just want to say that I would not have any of it if it wasn't for some really amazing people that helped me along the way.
Yeah, and Wayne, we're really thankful for Wayne as well, because Wayne was one of our guest co-hosts on the Over the Shoulder podcast when we did the women's collection. Hell of a guy, definitely.
It was a good episode. I watched it.
Oh, it was a fun episode there, definitely. Wayne's got an insane women's collection. There's no doubt about that. And what we're trying to do here, ladies and gentlemen, is we're trying to bring you the episodes that you want to see, that you want to watch. And this, I'm very confident in this episode, just like the one last week, that this will be definitely a great one. So, Max, why don't we just dive right into it?
Yeah, exactly. Now, starting off with the world title. Now, we're going to start off with a version 1, which is originally won by Seth Rollins. This did have the scratch logo on it. Very unique belt. I had never seen a belt up until this point, even to this day. Never really a belt similar to this. Just a huge X as a main plate with a small N and the T on the sides. No huge design. Traditionally you see like globes or grapplers or an eagle or something. It's just NXT, which is very simplistic, which kind of matched the brand at that point. Of course, had six side plates, all had the WWE logo. Very simple, super wide leather cut, which is, it's more common today, of course, with the North American title and the tag titles. But back then, it was kind of a little jarring. At least for me, it was, especially with that huge gold tip. The backing was like a huge tip, and the front was a very thin tip. Very weird, but yeah, of course, the snaps going all the way around the belt. Rob, what do you think about this?
I never liked it. I really got to be honest here. The replica is a fingerprint magnet. It's just unfucking real. I'm sorry, but with respect to those side plates, The paint. Again, I'm after the paint here. The paint just came off. I mean, we'll talk about the replica. I don't like the strap. I think it looks fucking weird. I mean, for the snaps to go all the way from the main plate all the way out to where the end is. As you mentioned, that gold tip, I don't think that gold tip belongs. I just don't think that the belt is that great. The only thing I like about it is I never owned it. Again, I never owned this belt. So, I mean, really, really happy I didn't. I do like the version 2 a lot better than this. I mean, I know we'll go over that, but not a fan of this belt. Kevin, what do you think?
I agree with a lot. I agree with a lot of what you just said. Well, with what both of you said, the strap right off the bat when this belt debuted, the strap right off the bat threw me for a loop because it was that thick strap that we weren't used to seeing at the time. Obviously, like you said, Max, it did become more integrated later with like the North American and other belts.
Right.
And I think the North American's a great title. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But for this one, I feel like they were trying to go with like the precedence that less is more, and I love that precedence when it comes to a belt. I don't think a belt needs to be stoned all to hell or anything like that. Sometimes less is more, but this just wasn't that for me. Another thing that you said, another thing that I absolutely hated about it, I've held this belt, not I've held somebody's replica of it. Fingerprint magnet. You hit it right on the head. Fingerprint magnet. I'm one of the people who believe that every belt should have a tip, but this tip was just done very poorly. And I got to go with Rob. I was never a big fan of it. It was cool for what it was. At the time, NXT was that developmental brand. They didn't really put too much into it. It didn't have the steam that it had now. It was still getting off the ground, all this, that, and the third. So I can understand why they didn't want to just go with an all-out, gorgeous, gaudy title right off the rip. Right. It was the developmental brand, so let's give it a developmental title. But I absolutely could not stand this title. I didn't like the leather cut. I didn't like the big X. I also didn't like how the leather shaped with the X. Yeah. I didn't like how the X protruded above. Yeah. To where like the North American, the strap is a solid strap and the plates fit to the strap, not the other way around. But as far as this belt goes, all the way around, I don't want to say that I hated it. I didn't have any feelings about it. I didn't like it and I didn't hate it. It was just there. It was just there.
Yeah, and I mean, Kevin, like, it's just weird having snaps above where a side plate is. I mean, like, what are they trying to pull here? I mean, with that, and then color. There is no color. There, I mean, you got black and gold, and then those side plates are just absolutely brutal. I'm sorry. So, I mean,
one of the biggest things for me, like you're saying, one of the biggest things for me when it comes to a title is contrast. I want to be able to know exactly what I'm looking at from any distance. The further this gets away, the harder it is to see that N and the T.
Right.
There is no contrast. As far as the snaps go, I thought that was one of the more, I don't want to say revolutionary, innovative parts, I guess. I never really thought about it snapping over the side plates. That never crossed my mind until you just said it. Where I was at with it was, with those extra snaps, it can fit a bigger guy, it can fit a smaller guy. I never really thought about the strap overlapping the side plates until you just said it. But now that you said it, that's a fantastic point, and I don't see why that should happen. But until you just said that, I never even thought about it.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think of good wrestlers like like Rollins. I mean, I think of Balor. I think of Owens. I think of all the guys who held this belt. I feel bad for them that they did hold this piece of shit. But
don't sleep on Bo Dallas now.
No,
don't sleep on Bo Dallas.
Of course. But it's again, I don't like the V1. I mean, I know we're going to go to V2. So
no, I agree with you guys, and I think for me, it's a lot of fond memories. I mean, when I started watching NXT around this time, it was I wasn't too much into belts. Like, I didn't critique them like I do today, like every small little detail. But for what it was, I think it was fine. Not a great design that's going to go down in history as one of the best belts. No, it's just kind of mediocre.
I honestly think the people that like this belt, and I'm not trying to make anybody mad, so if you're watching, please don't crucify me for this. But I honestly think the people that like this belt were your OG NXT fans. And for them, this is their version of a Michael Jordan rookie card. This was the first. It was the OG. So you see like these sports collectors who collect cards and stuff like that. They freak out over these rookie cards. This is NXT fans' rookie card. It's the one that started it all. So I get it. I understand why people would like it. I don't think anybody got this belt because they thought it was a beautiful belt. I think they got it for the original wrestlers who held it, like Balor, like Rollins. Even Big E held this at one point.
Right.
So I think that's kind of why people got it. I don't think anybody looked at this and was like, wow, that's a gorgeous belt. I think they looked at it as the NXT rookie card.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely agree with you.
Good point.
Now moving on to I think for sure, way better design. And that is the version 2 of the NXT World title. Now,
okay.
For me,
I thought you were going somewhere else.
No. For me, this one was a huge upgrade. I remember seeing this right before. I think it was like the day before or the day of, like the morning of Takeover Orlando, and I think this has just really cemented like a huge change for NXT. I think it was almost like a transition period from developmental to more of a third brand. I know they didn't call it the third brand till like probably a few years later, but I think this is a huge change for NXT. Of course, you see the side plates, which was where this is a time where WWE is doing the circular disc side plates on every single belt, and then seeing the square side plates. I absolutely loved it. I do own this belt. We'll talk about it later when we get to the replica, but everything about it. I like how they kept the huge X. I love that, but it's not a fingerprint magnet anymore. It has all that, like those lines, almost like a texture on it. Love that. I love the grittiness of this belt. It has like the bolts on the main plate. One of my favorite parts. I know the replica doesn't have the bolts poking out. That's the one thing that kind of I wish they did that, because you can see on the actual belt there are like actual bolts poking out, which I don't know why. I love that. Leather cut, way better. Just an overall huge improvement. Rob, what do you think?
It actually looks like a world title. It's not like in a fucking snake. I'm sorry, but anyways, it's definitely a better title. And gotta be honest, I do like when they put the NXT side plates on this a lot better than the WWE. The grommets, I guess we call those bolts. You call them bolts. Are they grommets or bolts?
I think what he's referring to when he says bolts are the ones that are on the X.
On the X.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, on the X. Okay. All right. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought he was meant. Okay. You're right. That is not on the replica.
I mean, they're there, but they're like flat.
They're flat. That's exactly
it.
it.
It's an outline of it.
I like the cut of the leather. I like the fact that it's a properly made title. A few people that I know have unboxed these titles, and well, Max, of course, yourself. But they unboxed this title and then the women's title, and they're really well made. I mean, I've been hearing that they're actually really well made. They're a lot better. And again, a fingerprint magnet and something that you can hang on your wall, and you don't need to distance the bolts or whatever you put them on, right? In order to do this, they're actually properly distant. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the only thing I like about the like this one is compared to the NXT, I like the one that had the side plates. That's where I'm going with this. So, but again, this is a very good title. I really still think it is, and some tremendous upgrade from the V1. Kevin, what do you think?
You know, now we're talking. Now we're talking a belt that you can be proud of. Now you're talking about in a lot of my opinions on the NXT World Champion V1 versus V2 are going to be very similar opinions to the Women's Championship V1 versus V2. And I'll get into the women's when we get to that. But, you know, looking at this, just like Rob said, now it looks like a brand championship. Now this is something that you put on a guy like a Drew McIntyre, okay, like a Bobby Roode, like a Samoa Joe, like a Tommaso Ciampa, Adam Cole, and so on and so forth, and they carry this title, and it's something they're proud to carry. It looks like a world title. The leather cut is so much better. There is more work in the leather strap of this belt than there was the entire belt of the first version. I love the grommets in it. My favorite belt of all time is the NWA Dome Globe. I love the grommets on that belt. I love to see the grommets on this belt. It was like, we're gonna go this futuristic design, this modern day design, but we're gonna pay respect to the ones that came before it with the grommets. And two of my favorite replicas I've got are the NWA Dome Globe and the Ring of Honor, the one that Cody retired. Both of those have what, gentlemen? The grommets. It adds that elegantness. It adds that classiness. And the best thing about doing these and not stones or anything or sidebars, stones are going to fall out and sidebars are going to tarnish. These aren't.
Nope.
These are going to look good in 10 years. And like I said earlier with the contrast, I love the black paint in the logo. I love the dual plated. I love the relief plate X. I love the black and the champion banner. It really breaks everything up, and you can see exactly what this belt is. Whether you are 5 feet away or 5 yards away, you are still going to know exactly what's on that belt. You might not be able to read it from that far away, but you'll be able to break up exactly what everything is. I did like the change to the square side plates. I thought it was just something that was so small but so different. It added something to this belt that no other belt had because everything was that circular side plate. And the last thing is I completely lost where I was going as I was talking. Square side plates, the contrast. Yeah, I guess it wasn't that important. But yeah, I absolutely love this belt. I thought it was a huge step up, and it really felt like they were starting to take NXT seriously with this.
Right.
Yeah, and I 100% agree. And I mean, with the replicas, I mean, this is one of the, what is it, Max? Like one of the number one sellers, I mean, for NXT World titles. I mean, this definitely, really once they enter to this version, I see this belt in a lot of people's collections. I mean, Max has it.
I have both.
And you have both, like
the men's and the women's, not the V1, V2.
No. Not the V. Right. I mean, this it's just a better belt, and I totally agree with you, Kevin. Contrast is a big thing on belts, and I mean, with respect to color, I mean, that fucking V1 didn't give us shit. I mean, it really didn't. This one, now we're talking. Exactly. I totally agree.
Now, if I had to nitpick on one thing, and this always bothered me, if you look at right below the champion banner, there's this little blank space, and it almost looks like a nameplate. I don't know what that is. I don't like it at all. It just seems kind of random, just thrown there. I mean, I know it's just to fill up the space, but it just seems like, I don't know, they were trying to go for nameplate, or I don't know what's going on there. I just don't like that at all. But other than that, I love it a lot. You know, the dual plated, I love dual plated belts, and the fact that this is slightly dual plated, of course the women's is way more dual plated, which kind of makes me prefer that one a little more. Yeah, wonderful belt. And you can see they did slightly change it with Finn Balor. It was slightly bigger plates, and then mostly the leather tooling was different. Didn't have a gold tip, which I don't like. I love a gold tip on a belt, especially on this one. I feel like I needed it and didn't have it anymore. Different tooling on there. Not a huge change, just a bit more modern. Yeah, moving on to the women's title, the version 1. Now, I know, Rob, you do like this belt a lot, and to be honest, some days I like it, some days I hate it. Today, I don't really like it. I don't know. Like, just I mean, for what it is, it's okay. It's better. I kind of like it better than the men's title, but I don't know, something about those like boomerang side plates, and like especially the far one, it's just blank. It just doesn't do it for me. Rob, what do you think?
So we were talking about this with Balor Fan 85. I remember on the episode, and he's got one, and I'll tell you why I like it. For one, number one reason, Page. Page is one reason why I like it, because I feel like this is the Page belt. 2, this thing restoned is incredible. It absolutely is. And 3, rarity. I'm a rare belt collector. I would be happy to have this. I don't even need that much room, guys. You know that I have a wall, right? Like, I just need like a fine little, like a little piece, right? To just hang it. Like, I literally do. It is that flippin' small. It's just incredible. I find it's different. It's a different belt compared to the other belts. I know that you guys don't like this. It is a one-plater, really. I mean, it is a one-plater belt. I mean, I think maybe I like it just because it is rare now. Like, you don't see them that often. And holding it, I mean, is it as small as that AEW Women's Championship we were looking at?
Smaller.
Smaller? Okay.
Smaller.
All right, sure. Smaller.
I've seen Balor fans many times. I've held it many times. It is. I actually have the AEW women's right there.
Oh, that's small.
That is the smallest belt I've ever held.
And
Well, I was thinking about the AEW women's. It has a bunch of side plates, so it kind of makes it,
yeah, this is one. I see this go now. Like, I mean, I've seen one guy sell it for like 450 US, but I've seen these go for like, and I mean, I know you're down in the States, Kevin, but we'll talk Canadian dollars, 875 Canadian, which is like what, $1 American, anyways.
Yeah, probably.
But it's
about a cup of coffee.
Not a cup of coffee, exactly. It is rare. It's a rare belt. It definitely is. I don't know. Like I said, I mean, would I own it? Yes. And I don't have to find very, very much space for it. I'm with you, Max, though. I mean, the boomerangs are a little bit cheesy. I mean, I guess that's a really, good word for it. I do like the fact that it's just really a nice pink stone, like really, really nice pink stones. I mean, it's really, really cool. Not a heck of a lot of tooling. Not a heck of a lot of tooling. Snaps, there's a shit ton of snaps. At least they don't go over any side plates like the NXT one. But anyways, yeah, Kevin, what do you think?
Okay, so let's talk about the good before I completely rip this thing to shit. I was talking about contrast. I love contrast. This belt has contrast. You look at that main plate with the fine use of the pink, the black, and the silver. 3 colors that are going to pop off each other. 3 colors that are going to stand out. The very vibrant pink, black on silver, always looks good. So I think the color scheme was great. I think the design was fine. As far as NXT women's, the overall design of the belt, don't like it. I do not like this belt whatsoever. There are things about it that I think were right. And once again, I say this on my Twitch channel all the time. Wrestling is opinion based, and there's no such thing as a wrong opinion. How can it be wrong if it's an opinion? The whole antithesis of an opinion is it is yours. It doesn't have to be anybody else's. And this is just my opinion. But either way, I love the contrast in it. I can't think of one of the. I do like that they were trying something different with the side plates. It wasn't just your standard side plates, even though I don't think they did a good job with them. It was different. It showed that they were starting to think outside of the box, that they wanted something new. But here's my biggest gripe with this. Aside from Bayley and maybe Charlotte Flair in her younger days when she was all happy and preppy and big old cheerleader Charlotte, aside from those two, could you picture Shayna Baszler carrying this into a main event?
No.
Could you picture Asuka?
No.
I mean, maybe with all the colors that she had, but like a Rhea Ripley?
No.
Can you picture Rhea Ripley carrying this belt into a main event? Is this really the belt you want on Saturday Night Live with your women's champion saying, hey, this is the belt that represents our women's brand? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Very, very small belt. Like I said earlier, the smallest, if not one of the smallest belts that I've ever held. I can't think right offhand one belt that I've held aside from the toy belts from Walmart or the action figure belts that I've held smaller than this one. It just, I love the contrast in it. I love that they tried something different. It's just, I feel like with this belt, you limit yourself to who your believable champion could be. And that's the one thing I keep coming back to is looking at this belt. Could you see Shayna Baszler walking with this belt down to War Games, having this epic match with Rhea Ripley that we all know Rhea Ripley ended up winning? But could you picture this being the belt that she carried?
No.
I can't. It does not. It does not in any way, shape, or form look like a brand championship to me. Because I don't know if we can call the NXT championships world championships. I know WWE, when Charlotte beat Rhea at Mania, they called it her 14th world title, but then they ended up taking it away later because they don't recognize it as a world title. So that's why I call NXT titles brand championships. But when you have a title that's meant to represent your locker room and represent any woman who would come on to hold it, I feel like with Bayley, great belt. With Bayley, perfect belt. With Natalya, with the pink and black attack, would have been great for her as well.
Sure.
But outside of those two in Charlotte Flair's early days, I don't see this being a good belt for anybody. It wasn't good for Paige, in my opinion. It wasn't good for Sasha Banks, in my opinion. And that's really my biggest gripe with it, guys, is if I were to own the promotion, if it were my company, would I want this to be the belt that represents my women's division? And the answer is a hard pass for me. Hard pass.
Now, I have to agree on you, but at that time, the women's division in the main roster, especially, was in the dumps. I mean, it was the divas, right?
No, you're
So,
absolutely right.
and which makes sense. I completely agree with you. This next title, the version 2, way better. I think it looks good on everyone. But this, I think, was like way better than the divas title. First of all, it wasn't called the Divas Championship, which is, I mean, it's a small change, but I think it's way better. It just shows how NXT perceived their women's division completely different to the main roster. Of course, it still had some of that like diva pink look to it, but it was, in my opinion, better than the butterfly title. Um, but moving on to a belt that I think looks better, looks good on basically anyone, and that is the version 2 of the NXT Women's title. And I'm going to be honest, I think I like this better than the men's title. And the reason is because I love dual plated belts.
Yeah.
I love them. My favorite belt is a dual plated winged eagle, and I love how the huge X and the NXT is all silver. I absolutely love that. I don't really like the small women's banner up there, but you can't really put it anywhere else, so it makes sense. Absolutely love it. Similar design, of course, to the men's title, which I think at the time was a very respectable decision. It just showed, it's almost like them saying the women's division is at the same level as the men's, which I think it's great. Of course, now in the main roster, all the titles look the same, but at the time, I think it was great, and even now, I still love this belt. Rob, what do you think?
I like how they kept the similarity between the men's title and the women's title. I mean, that's one thing that I really like about this belt. Dual plating. I'm with you, Max. I mean, I've got a bunch of dual plated belts that I absolutely love. I mean, they're absolutely incredible. I love them. I like the tooling. I really, really do. I like that big X. Again, comparing this title to the men's title, I like that X is dual, like the silver, like the different color. I mean, I like the fact that this title is just a little bit smaller than the men's title. Just still, I'm not saying that all women are small. I'm not saying that, but this title, I mean, as compared to that version 1, yes. I mean, the version 1 I would probably own is because of the rarity. This title I would probably own as well. With respect to this, I can see women like Shayna Baszler, who held this title, Rhea Ripley, who also held this title,
Raquel Gonzalez,
Raquel, Mandy,
Shirai.
all those. Yeah, Shirai. I mean, I can see them holding this title. This is a better title, absolutely. And there you go. There they are. I mean, I think they did a lot better with this title. I really, really do. But again, yeah, having the comparison between the men's and the women's and having them at the same time, where the men's and the women's, it's just like where WWE has that network logo, WWE Championship, and then the women's titles. They have, they got the big titles and then they got the small titles. I mean, that's what it is. I do like this title. And I do, I mean, I know that you guys don't like the version 1. Rarity, though, I would own the rare one. I mean, I definitely would. But again, great title. Kevin, what do you think?
I completely get what you're saying, man. When it comes to a rarity of the titles, and stuff like that, I get why somebody would want to own the V1 because of the rarity. Like I said, it's just it never really stuck for me. Now, when we get to this one, now we are talking about a brand championship.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said, how it looks similar to the men's. You look at any other combat sport, whether it be boxing, kickboxing, the UFC, any other combat sport, women's titles and men's titles look damn near identical. They're very similar. They are put on the same platform, the same pedestal, and that's what I really like about this one. And I remember what I was going to say about the men's that I really like about this one. This really gave me a big fight feel because as soon as I seen it, and out of everybody I talked to, only one other person has agreed with me. Can you go back to the other photo when you had it on the right there? Yeah, that one. So when you look at the main plate, the first thing I saw was the old UFC title, that octagon background.
For the X?
No, behind the X. Take away the NXT and just look at that back plate. That octagon shape. I instantly saw that old UFC belt with the octagon shape. It gave it that combat sports feel. It gave that big fight feel. It looked like a legit title that you would, once again, you would see on talk shows, you would see on interviews, you would see being carried around. And this is your brand championship title. I do love the dual plated. Funny story about this. This was one of the first belts I ever ordered. One of the first that ever came in. This and the NXT men's at the same time came in, and I was unboxing it, and I was so happy. I was so ready to open it, and I opened it, and I opened up the NXT men's championship, and I looked at it. I was like, wow, this is really, really small. This is not what I expected it to be. I really regret buying these titles if they're all going to be this small. And then I looked at it and realized it was the women's title, so score one for Kevin not being able to read. But then I opened up the men's and seen the size difference. I do like that they are smaller, just slightly. I love everything about these titles. I love everything about the V2 titles, and I can't stress it enough. It's like you were saying, Rob. I can see. We just saw the NXT Women's Championship at WrestleMania. I can see this title being in the main event at a takeover. I can see it being on WrestleMania. I can see Gonzalez. I can see Ripley. I can see Shayna. You know, people who have held this title, and then the ones who are moving up now, coming into the title picture. I can see them holding this title and being proud of it. It fits just about anybody. And then you have those custom side plates. No more boomerang shit. So you are giving the women their own custom side plates, which I think is great. Some of the better looking side plates have been women's side plates.
Oh, yeah.
Not really a big fan of Shayna Baszler, but I loved her side plates. I thought they looked amazing. It really gave that big fight feel to the women's division. It really lit that fire under their ass that I think everybody wanted. Not to say that it wasn't there, not to say that they weren't hungry and they weren't passionate before, but it's just with this title, it's like everything was amplified to the 10th power. Right. And I loved everything this title brought with it, everything it stood for. And it, once again, I can't quit saying this enough. It gave it that big fight feel.
Yeah. No, I have to completely agree with you. I think this is a huge shift for the women's division, and I absolutely love it. Now, moving on to the version 1 of the NXT Tag Team Championships. I hate this belt. I haven't looked at it properly for a while, and then before, when I watched like American Alpha or like DIY or Revival fight for the titles, didn't think much of it. Looking back at it now, when I was researching, trying to find a good picture of this belt, I hate it. Like, such an ugly belt. Like, I mean, for the V1s, I mean, it's not bad, but I hate this. I mean, it's just so ugly. I don't like it. The leather color looks stupid. It's like coming in for the side plates. I don't know why it does it. It has like a dip. I hate that. And then the just everything about it, I don't like. Too much black paint. I hate this. Rob, what do you think?
Oh man, I'm gonna fucking shit on this belt. And I mean, to tell you the truth, it almost reminds me of something you would be receiving from United Belt Brothers, United Bitch Brothers, or how we call them. Fuck, don't go with those guys. I hate everything that there is about this belt. The cut is stupid. The place is so just so bland. There's not, I mean, you try to have contrast from one side plate to the other side plate. I just don't think it goes. I mean, the thickness of the belt or the plates are not great. I mean, I've seen eBay just saturated with bootlegs for these ones. And I mean, it's absolutely horrible. And they think that this is a rare belt now? Like, I mean, a rare belt?
I mean, it's rare, but in the same way, like, some really ugly.
I think it's just so stupid. I mean, like literally. So like Max, you know, I know you had the US that was made by ORM. How long do you think it would take him to make this piece of shit?
Probably like 2 years. But
probably because he's
here for artwork or wait for the belt.
Oh, it's it absolutely is. And I mean, this belt that you have here is almost like that left part of that main plate is almost like tarnished anyway. Like I mean, like literally, like you see the streak marks on this. It's absolutely horrid. I would never own this belt. I don't like this belt. I don't like seeing this belt. I hate everything there is about this belt. Kevin, what do you think?
So out of all the V1s, this is my favorite, and that's not saying a lot because the bar wasn't set too high.
Yeah.
I talked about contrast, and Max, you said too much black paint. I think the black paint was great. I think it was great for what they were trying to do, almost as if you held a flashlight to one side of the belt and cast that shadow off to the other. It's kind of what it would always look like to me. Like one side of the belt was in the light, and it was casting a shadow on the other side of the belt. It provided that contrast. Whether or not I like the design, you can see the design from 5 feet away or 5 yards away. Not saying you wanted to see it at all because, the leather cut was fucking weird. Let's just call it what it is. Max, you already hit on that. It's fucking weird. But out of all the V1s, this was my favorite one. I think it was the best overall. It was half of a fingerprint magnet and then half of a solid black plate. I get that. But like I said, out of all the V1s, this was my favorite, and that's because the bar wasn't set too high. I will say this, and I'll save the details for when we get to the V2. But I think they picked the perfect team to introduce the V2 titles. They picked the perfect team to carry those V2 titles because I don't think these would have looked right on them. I do not think these would have fit right on them. I look at DIY, I look at the Revival, I look at Blake and Murphy, and it fit them fine. It fit them just fine. But I don't think it would have fit the Authors of Pain. I don't, not at all. Two big badass men who just wanted to go in there and throw fucking hands. But once again, it was my favorite of the V1s, but that's not saying much.
And to me, I think just looking at this picture, it just seems so cartoonish to me. Something about it, I just don't like it at all. Looking at it,
I think that's why it fit. I think that's why it fit Johnny Gargano, because Johnny Gargano is a walking cartoon. Not saying anything about his ability, but the man cosplays more than anybody.
Oh yeah. Now moving on to a way better design.
Much better.
Huge upgrade. The current NXT Tag Team Championships. I absolutely love this. I love how I didn't notice this until like a few months ago. How the NXT and the Tag Team Champ is all a second relief plate. I absolutely love that because when I had the replica, I did own the replica of this. It was okay, but it was just flat and I didn't really like that. If it was stacked like this, I would still have it in my collection right now because I think that just adds so much to it because it's a pretty small belt. Really small belt holding it, almost like a women's belt. And the snap box is really close together, which is kind of weird. I'm not sure if that was just on the replica or also on the real belt. Probably just some stupid shenanigans WWE shop pulled off. But super small belts, but I think the fact that they're stacked makes it passable. So then they don't weigh like 2 pounds. Really love this design. I love like the almost like a cage design going behind the NXT logo, which is similar to the X on the men's and the women's titles. Love that. Dual plated. Love that too. Nice amount of black paint, gold. I like the leather cut. Huge upgrade. Rob, what do you think?
I totally agree. This is a lot better. It absolutely is. If the replica was like this, I'd probably even have it myself. The replica, we'll talk about it, with the stiff leather and everything. I love the stack plates. I love the dual plating. You touched on it. The distance of the side plates to the main plate doesn't actually bother me that much. Not like when we were talking about the women's WWF Attitude Era belt, where it's like really far away. It is close, but it doesn't bother me too much. It really, really doesn't. The tooling is nice. I do like the cage, as you mentioned. I like the fact that, you've got NXT going vertical, of course. That's really, really nice with the WWE logo right in the middle of that X. The curve on this belt is a nice curve. On the one for the replica, you could probably curve it because it's just not stacked, I believe. I like this belt a lot better. Obviously, when we shat on the V1, this is a little bit, it's definitely a lot better, I find. Great belt. I know that the snap box is a lot better. I think everything is a lot better. Kevin, what do you think?
Guys, once again, now we're fucking talking. Now we're talking championships you can be proud of. Now we're talking belts that look good. And, when we look back and we think about it up until this point, and we go back a few belts, I mean, what did we have? We had the NXT V1s. We had the spinner. We had the network logos. We had the divas. We had, the women's network logos. Really the only belt that really stands out to me that I really enjoyed during those times were the classic Intercontinental belt. And I also enjoyed the United States Championship. Aside from those, we were given garbage belts. Maybe not all of them were garbage, but they weren't like this either. They didn't look like this. And I think when NXT debuted these V2 titles, we started thinking to ourselves, okay, they do know what a good title looks like. They can produce a good looking strap. And once again, I feel like they picked the perfect team to debut at these titles, the Authors of Pain. I love the side plates, how they don't fit into a slot like on all the other belts do. They actually sit on top, almost making it look double stacked. Always loved that. I love the cage material behind it. Just that little bit of texture to break up the NXT, that bold black outline gives it that contrast. The championship banner, like you said, the perfect amount of black, a nice, good leather cut. I was so nervous when I started seeing the new NXT titles because we're like, okay, there's the new men's title. Looks great. Okay, there's the new women's title. Looks great. That means they have to shit the bed with the tag titles. Nope. Those look great too. They were batting 1,000 with these V2 titles. Plain and simple. They did not miss. And it was so nice to see. It was not, and this is really when NXT started taking that turn towards that dark, dingy, dirty Fight Club kind of feel. And it just fucking worked, guys. For lack of better term, I know I should probably think of a better word than the F word, but it just fucking worked.
Yeah.
It just fucking worked.
No, it's beautiful. I mean, this exactly. And these
Look at Imperium with those titles. Look at Imperium. I'm such an Imperium fan. I'm not trying to cut anybody off, but I fucking love Imperium.
These are two of my favorites to hold these belts, I think, and it just looks amazing on them. Of course, Imperium just looks so prestigious on them, and then with UE, I love these belts.
So you told me before we started, and I'm going to take advantage of this. You told me before we started if there was anything not belts we could talk about that too. I'm going to start a little controversy here because I know nobody's going to agree with me. Let me ask you this because you said this was two of your favorite teams to hold it. Out of the Undisputed Era, all four members, who do you think the best member was?
Singles or is it tag?
No, just the best individual wrestler.
I mean, I got one.
I'm conflicted between Kyle and Adam. I think probably Adam because of that charisma. I love Adam Cole so much, but Kyle is just right there.
Rob, what about you, man?
Adam. I mean, I love his charisma. I love his attitude. I love his entrance. I love the whole thing. I am a big Adam Cole.
Adam had the charisma. I'll give you that.
No doubt.
But for me and my money, the best bell-to-bell wrestler, the best performer in the Undisputed Era, hands down, Bobby Fish. Not Kyle O'Reilly, not Adam Cole. For me, not Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, clearly the best striker. And this is just my opinion. Could work mat wrestling, was great bell to bell, and the man found the fountain of youth. The man has the fountain of youth in his back pocket. I'm solely convinced on that. I always thought Bobby Fish was the best member of the UE.
Now, like wrestler, he was great, but like, what about personality and everything?
Overall,
Oh no.
Yeah,
Adam Cole definitely had the better personality, the best charisma, the best mic skills, no doubt. I'm strictly talking bell to bell.
Just in the ring.
Yeah,
in the ring.
Nothing flashy. Nothing flashy, but I just thought he was great. I love traditional wrestling. I'm a big fan of the territory days and old school wrestling. And not Kyle O'Reilly, but Bobby Fish to me was the perfect combination of old school wrestling with modern mentality. I always thought Bobby Fish was the best. Not to say the other ones were bad, but he was always my favorite. I don't want to say the best, but he was always my favorite.
Yeah, for me, if you're talking just in the ring, probably Kyle. I just love his style. I love that, like, more jiu-jitsu grappling style. Absolutely, I can watch that for days. His match with Finn Balor, I think I watched it like 5 times. I love that match so much. But
fun fact about Kyle O'Reilly: do you know what's underneath that armband?
his diabetes.
He's a diabetic. He's got the thing on the back of his arm.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine ran into him at a gas station, and he also had the thing on the back of his arm, and they were talking about it.
So his fellow Canadian. He's a fellow Canadian.
Yeah, Kyle's a wonderful wrestler.
Canadian.
Now, moving on to such a beautiful belt. And you're talking about how they introduced the version 2 belt, and they're just the world title, beautiful. Women's title, beautiful. The tag titles, of course, beautiful. When I heard that there was going to be a North American title, just like Kevin was saying, I was worried. I was scared. I was like, this can be really nice, or this can be complete dog shit. And thankfully, this was super beautiful, very unique. Just a super unique belt. I was worried they would just keep a similar design to the world title and just change it up a little. Completely different. The wide leather cut, but I think it really works for this belt. More of a traditional, almost like a boxing belt. And we were talking about the world title, how Kevin was saying how it's like modern and classic belts come together. I think this is the perfect example of that. I absolutely love it.
Could not agree more.
The burgundy strap. Oh, love that. The gold tip. It's more of like a modern gold tip. Everything about this I love. Rob, what do you think?
I like this title. I love it. There's a lot of leather. There absolutely is. There is a lot of leather for this title. I still love it though. Like I definitely do. The wideness of the straps. I mean, it makes me think a little bit of, and I know we shat on that belt, but the NXT V1 a little bit, not as to that effect, like to that extreme. When I think of this belt, I mean, I think about, the guys who held it. I think how it was introduced. I think how it was won the first time in that epic ladder match. I mean, I absolutely do. That was a great match that they had. It's just different. It is absolutely different. I mean, that main plate is killer. I really do. I really think that main plate is absolute killer. I love the fact it's got, I think it's got the grommets going all the way around it. It absolutely does. I like the weight of it because I've held it. I like the weight, solid weight to this belt. And again, people who held it, I mean, absolutely amazing. I love that they introduced this. This is a different type of belt. I mean, you get world heavyweight title, you get tag title, you get US title, right? This is different. It's a different name. I like that. I like that they brought up a different name. They were innovative with it. It's just like, it's like with the Stampede Wrestling. I mean, Stampede Wrestling is huge here in Calgary. I mean, well, it was. And I mean, they brought that, they brought some great title names. This was one that I think that it was absolutely great. And you see, Adam Cole winning it in that ladder match. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. And I do love it. Again, a lot of leather though. I mean, there is a lot of leather. I mean, that would be my only complaint. But Kevin, what do you say? What do you think?
Love this belt. And for all the reasons you guys have already said, I love the fact that it was called North American and not United States. I love the fact that it was a combination of what a classic belt and what a modern belt would look like. I love the fact that it was different. I love the fact that the leather cut was wide, but it wasn't like with the NXT V1. By the way, guys, I'm on daddy duty, so I'm joined by my youngest son who just woke up. But either way, what was I saying? Oh, I love the leather cut. I love everything about it. And what I think is really interesting about this belt, one thing that I think not a lot of people pay attention to is when we got the Universal title, everybody called it the licorice belt. Everybody called it. We hated it. We rejected it immediately, right out of the gate. And one of the biggest gripes was the red strap. I mean, because everything else was essentially same to the current WWE Championship, but we hated that red strap. Everybody loved this red strap. And it just goes to show that when it's done properly, I mean, you could really do whatever you want as long as you do it right, and they did it so right with this belt. I have one major complaint with this belt, and it's not even because of the belt. I can't look at this belt and be happy anymore because every time I look at this belt, as a belt collector, and Rob and Max, I know you guys might be with me on this one, but when Damian Priest won and he jumped in the hot tub with the belt and he completely submerged the belt underwater, I cringed. I was seething angry. I was like, "Don't you dare do it!" He was standing on the outside of the hot tub, and he had the girls in the hot tub, living his gimmick. I'm like, "Don't you do it!" Hand the interviewer the title. Do not jump in that hot tub with that belt. Not only did he jump in, he dunked the whole thing underwater like he was trying to baptize the belt or something. And now all I can see when I look at that belt is, man, that belt's ruined. It's ruined. But
that gave me nightmares for a few days.
Aside from that, I mean, I get the rock star gimmick. I get, and I love Damian Priest. I think he's a great wrestler. I've actually had the chance to talk to him a few times. He's a great person. The first thing I told him, the first chance I got to talk to him, I was like, "Man, I love your work. I hate that you put that belt in the water." But I love this belt, man. I thought it was beautifully done. And I can remember to this day when they unveiled it. Me and all my friends, I host all the pay-per-views at my house. My friends come over, we watch them together, and we saw Triple H standing there with the table. You can tell there was a belt under the sheet. And he started talking about it, and we all started looking up. Two of us being belt collectors, because Balor fan was there. Two of us being belt collectors, we kind of perked up. It grabbed our attention, and then they took that sheath off, and it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. I just can't unsee Damian Priest putting it underwater. But as far as the belt goes, man, absolutely love the belt. It's done so beautifully. Mm-hmm. I'll never understand why they went to Velcro. I guess it makes it easier. But aside from that, beautiful, beautiful belt. My second favorite belt available on WWE Shop right now.
And this is a huge grip. Like, you're so sorry to cut you off, Rob, but the Velcro. That huge patch of Velcro. And that's one issue. I know I love the big wide cut, but that giant patch of Velcro, like the size of my head, that's just so sad to look. You see Keith Lee holding it. And you see that huge patch of Velcro, like, come on.
I know. And I know how you feel. It's like, I mean, you're holding it and it's got Velcro. And so, I mean, yeah, like that's what a kid wears, for like shoes. I mean, I don't like how they went with Velcro on a lot of these titles. And then they're trying to pass off some of these titles, Max, where they're selling them for what, like $5,000-$6,000 with Velcro because they're TV accurate. It's brutal. It absolutely is. I like the width of the belt, and I like that it's bigger. I like the bigger. I'm a big fan of big titles, as you can see with the one up in the case. That's a belt. I like big titles. This does it for me. Again, a lot of leather, but that would be not a valid reason for me to own it. I mean, I just don't own it, but it would not hinder me from owning the belt.
Now, moving on to a new design. This is only one version, thankfully. There's the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. Now, for this one, I do love the tag team titles, but for these, I don't know, something about them just feels weird. Maybe it's too much gold. Maybe it's the white strap. I mean, I don't hate it. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate it at all. I do enjoy this belt. It's just something about it just feels off for me. I can't say exactly what it is. Just when I first saw them, I didn't enjoy it that much. What do you think, Rob?
And I mean, of course, it looks exactly like the black one, but I mean, and I like white straps. I really do. But you're right. There is something about this that's just absolutely weird. And maybe it's because it feels like on the main plate, you've got just all one color. You don't really have a contrast, or maybe you do. I mean, I'm not even sure. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I feel like it's weird, man. I feel it is absolutely weird. And it's odd because I'm just thinking, like I said, I like white straps. And this one, it just doesn't do it for me. Anyways, what do you think, Kevin?
So I think I know what you guys are getting at, and I think I might know what the issue is. Or at least I know what the issue is for me. But I will say this: starting out, I thought these were way better than the main roster's women tag titles. I thought they were done way better. I thought they were unneeded. I thought they were
Yeah.
absolutely unneeded.
Oh,
I thought there was no need, because the premise of the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships is that they represent all three brands. They can go to all three brands. So why do you need two sets of tag titles
It doesn't
on
make sense.
NXT if those tag titles go to all brands? It always confused me. I never understood it. But then again, they never really allowed the women's tag team champions, aside from one or two times, to actually go to NXT. But it always struck me as weird because, like I said, the women's tag team champions were supposed to go to all brands. I do like these. I do like the design of them. Obviously, very similar to the men's. A few subtle changes. The main plate, not a lot of contrast form, or not as much contrast as I would like. But where I think it gets lost for me, and I do like white straps as well. But if you look at that strap, we're starting to get back to that V1 men's tag cut. We're starting to get back to the leather cut of the men's V1 with those dips right there by the side plate. That kind of throws it off for me. That's kind of that uneasy feeling about it. It's like, guys, you're taking two steps forward. Let's not take 3 steps back. That leather cut's weird for me. And I think that might be what gets you guys a little bit, is seeing that leather cut, because it is going back to that really weird leather cut. As far as the plates go, I love the plates. But that leather cut is getting back to that really uncomfortable stage for me.
Right.
Yeah, Kevin, and I mean that's actually that you might have hit that on the like hit that with a bullseye. It feels like the main plate, with respect to that cut, it just doesn't fit it correctly. Like maybe that is it. I don't know.
It almost looks like they took the exact shape of the men's V1, but put the design of the men's V2, and that's why it doesn't necessarily fit how it should. If they would have modeled it right after the men's V2, I think we'd be having a very different conversation. But when I look at this, it's like, okay, they took a blank men's V1, changed the strap white, and put the design of the V2. It's not quite the V2. It's not quite the V1. You're in that gray area where you don't know if you're comfortable. You don't know if you're uncomfortable, but it looks better than certain belts, but it doesn't look as good as some belts. So you don't know if you like it, you hate it, you love it, you want it, you don't want it. It's really weird. It's like they combined the two, and they shouldn't have done that. They should have just went with the V2s.
And I think one thing for me is, I know it's dual plated, but in some lighting, it does not look dual plated at all. Like in this lighting, it looks all gold.
Yep.
But then I had to check on the website and make sure that it is dual plated. There is a bit of space and a little bit of detail going around that's dual plated, but in some lighting it just looks gold, and I think that's what's hitting me. It should look dual plated like the men's titles where it's silver, very obviously dual plated.
Max, I don't want to cut you off. Like I said, my son is awake. He's got to go to the bathroom. I got to go turn the light on. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Go ahead. But yeah, I think that's what's getting me. Plus, that, like Kevin, you were saying, the leather cut, I think it's a little like, I might be going crazy, or I'm noticing it more because it's the white strap. It looks like the leather cut around the main plate is a little thicker than the men's tags. I don't know. And it doesn't have the WWE logo on the NXT for some reason.
No, I mean, it doesn't hit the mark for me, man. Like it really, really doesn't. Like they're missing it. And you know, we talk about these belts, and we talk about them in the other episodes. And I mean, with respect to the cuts, the cut, I mean, it's just weird. And I 100% agree with you, Kevin. This is a title that they don't need. They had the women's titles that can cross all 3 brands. Why bring in these?
No point.
And we were already having the discussion of, or at least I know me and my groups were, and we were having this discussion on my Twitch channel. Does WWE have too many titles? Is there too many titles? And then you introduce this one, and now you take that conversation where maybe they do, maybe they don't, to they definitely do.
Yeah,
definitely.
And you see teams like, no disrespect to, I don't know, Zoe Stark. I don't really watch NXT too much.
Piece together teams who shouldn't be champions
random.
regardless.
It's just so random. Like, good for them, good for Zoe that she won a title, but
get Io out of the title picture. I don't care what title it is. Get her out of the tag title. Get her out of the women's title. Get her out of the North American title. Whatever title I'm so sick of seeing Io Shirai in the title picture. It's one of my downfalls about NXT. She had her time. She did her stuff with the championship. I don't like her as a wrestler. She's an unsafe moonsault. She rarely ever hits that moonsault correctly. She knocked Rhea Ripley out at In Your House when her knees connected with her freaking forehead. I don't like Io Shirai. I know a lot of people do. I don't think she was a good champion. I think she's unsafe. Get her out of the title picture. I'm sorry for cutting you off. That's my Io rant, guys. Get her out of the title picture. The only thing I like less than having 2 sets of tag titles is having 1 set of those tag titles on Io Shirai.
And you know what they might do, Kevin, is maybe they'll just call her up to the main roster and then they'll release her like they do with all the other NXT guys. So you know what? Bye-bye.
Or they feed her to Nia Jax until she's ready to quit. Oh, wait, they can't do that because they already fired Nia Jax.
That's okay.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not an Io fan.
Weird title. No real reason for it. No gold tip. Come on. Just doesn't do it for me. Yeah. Now moving on to the NXT.
I'll change one thing. I would have liked to see a silver tip on that. I think a silver tip would have been a little bit better than a gold tip. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now starting off with the NXT UK World Title. This one I can confidently call a world title because I feel like if anything, this one's the most world title of everything. I feel like it's more respected than the WWE Championship. I don't know about the Universal Championship now with Roman Reigns, but before Roman held that title, I felt like this title was respected way more. Of course, it is the WWE or NXT UK Championship. I remember this beautiful belt being unveiled at the first UK tournament. Tyler Bate, of course, being the first to hold it. And my God, I loved it. I know some people are complaining because, it's the same shape. No. This is not the same thing as the Universal and everything. No. It's the same shape, so it's WWE, but they completely redesigned it. The main plate, it's nothing like the network logo. It's such a beautiful design. Even the side plates. I love the side plates. Not the disc is the same thing, but the actual part going around. I love the red triangles going around. Leather cut looks beautiful. Main plate looks perfect. I love everything about this belt. Rob?
I'm with you. I like this title. I actually love this title. I really, really do. It does, yes, it has the same cut as like the network logo, a WWE Championship, and the Universal, whatever it is. There's a lot of things that I like about this belt. I like the fact of that main plate. I mean, the main plate's killer. It absolutely is. The way the detail is on that main plate, United Kingdom champion, absolutely amazing. The stones going all the way around it. The sidebars, again, really, really like those. Like the tooling, like everything about it. That WWE logo, I believe, protrudes. It's stacked. I believe it protrudes out, which is a really, really nice feature. Absolutely. I remember when this was released. I really, really do. And I remember that, they had the Network Logo Championship. They had the red, I believe, Universal Championship, and they brought this out. This was like just a really well done, well made title. And absolutely.
And sorry to cut you off, but it was almost like a fresh. It was a nice change because we got the Universal title, and then we were getting the Raw and the SmackDown. And it just felt like everything was the same. But then they gave us this, and it was like,
Totally. And it was just like, nice to have just a refreshing, nice variety of a championship. I've heard some bad things, though, about this belt. And I mean, I am going to talk about this. And we'll get to the replica. We definitely will. Paint. That paint behind it, I hear it does tend to sometimes peel off. It definitely does. That's the main thing. And I mean, if we're spending $400 or $500 on these titles, and I mean, and again, that's Canadian dollars, and I mean, American would be what, like $300 or $200. Anyways, we can talk about the similarity with respect to that paint problem to the Undisputed V2 that they have on the shop. I mean, that is, the paint just peels right off of it. The NXT Cruiserweight, and we'll talk about that also peels right off. It's just, I mean, if WWE Shop would get their heads out of their fucking ass and start painting it properly, this would be absolutely killer of a replica to have. However, the belt that, when I think of this belt, Pete Dunne, I mean, I'm a very, very big Pete Dunne fan, definitely with respect to this belt. Again, refreshing. Would it hinder me from owning the belt because of the paint problem? No. For rookie belt collectors, it probably would. But for the belt collectors that have been in the hobby for a long time, who can handle the paint problems, as we were talking about, Max, on the previous episodes, Testers paint. I mean, this would be hard, but I mean, you can still use testers paint to solve.
with a toothpick and a few hours.
Exactly. I can handle it, but rookie belt collectors, if they, let's say, got this and let's say a week after it started peeling, they'd be really upset. They really would. Again, not a deterrent for me. I love it. I absolutely do. Kevin, what do you think?
This is by far my favorite current belt by WWE. Hands down, bar none, not a question about it. I've also too heard that it's very similar to or it's the same as the network logos because it's the same shape. My argument to that is it has just as much in common as a Dodge Viper does to a Dodge Neon. They're both Dodge and they're both cars. That's it.
There you go.
They both have the same main plate shape and they both have the same leather cut. That's it. But when you look at, let's just get into the side plates for on the back end. You have that little bit of red, and then it goes to black. So you have those two colors right there. The triangles, like you were talking about, those nice ornate floral-like patterns on the insides of it. And then obviously you have the removable side plates. You look at the main plate. That main plate screams elegance. It screams class. It screams vintage. It screams world championship. You are correct. The WWE logo is a relief plate that sits on top of that shield. It is now the NXT logo, not the WWE Network logo. But I absolutely love this title. I cannot say that enough. This is my favorite championship on WWE right now. It is my favorite championship in the shop. I am so glad that I have this championship. It was one of the very first belts on my list. I think it might have been like my fourth or fifth belt that I got, maybe a little bit later than that. But I absolutely love this championship. You were talking about the paint falling off. Mine fell off in about 3 months, about 90 days from when I unwrapped it. And if you can go back to the other photo, I'll show you exactly where it fell off. So on the main plate, top left corner, just above the United Kingdom banner, that little black space in between the stones and the United Kingdom banner, that's the part that fell out. And more times than not, that's the parts that I see fall out for a lot of people.
Right.
My wife, as you guys may or may not know, she does a lot of custom work with like her custom tumbler business. She had the exact paint I needed to fix the issue. The issue was fixed. But it's like you said, if we're spending upwards of $300 to $400 on these belts, we shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't have to make modifications and adjustments and cosmetic fixes. It should be fine. It is the only I've had one other belt, the swoosh on the SmackDown Women's Championship. That thing has fallen out numerous times, to the point where I literally plucked them out and repainted it myself because I got tired of it falling out. That is my only gripe against this belt. I cannot say this enough, gentlemen. I love this belt. The only belt in my collection that I think even comes close to the aesthetic appeal of this belt is the IWGP V4. That is the only belt I have in my collection. And I've got my own custom title. I've got the AEW titles. I've got my favorite belt of all time, the 10 pounds of gold. The only belt that comes close to this. And it's so crazy to say that because this isn't a quad stacked belt. It's not a triple stacked belt. Aside from the NXT logo, it's not even a double stacked belt. The IWGP is stacked 4 times. It's got all the nameplates. It's got all the stones. It's got all the engravings. It's got all the lion logos. And this belt still gives that thing a run for its money. I love this championship. And I'm a Pete Dunne fan too myself. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, if you can choose the champions for each brand, who would you go with? My NXT pick was Pete Dunne. But when I look at this belt, I see Walter. But Walter, Tyler Bate, and Pete Dunne all had great championship runs. They all had lengthy championship runs. But I think Walter did the best with it. But that's no fault to Pete or Tyler because I almost feel like we get one NXT UK championship match on a main takeover once every 2 years, and then they put it in a box and forget about it. That's why when you look at the longest title runs in modern history, 3 of those title runs are the 3 former champions before Dragunov, obviously,
Right.
because they have a great match. They have a banger of a match. They have a candidate for match of the year, and then they put it in its own little box and deny us of it. You can shove those other titles down my throat, but I can't see the one that I really want to see. And by the way, when I got this belt, I'll tell you guys this: I switched the main plates of my Universal red strap and the UK title. I put the UK main plate on the red strap Universal. It looks so damn beautiful, guys. That UK main plate on that red strap, it just popped. It looked so damn good. I ended up changing them back, but it just looked really nice. That main plate on any belt.
I saw a few people actually get their belts reloaded on a red strap. I know, I believe Nick Carnival with the X-Man belts, I believe he did that too.
For the longest time, I wanted to get it on a red strap with black lacing.
Oh,
Wow.
lacing on this belt would be
Wow.
perfect.
On my NWA 10 pounds of gold, I actually have yellow lacing on it, and I painted yellow polka dots on it, and it's now my Dusty Tribute title.
Wow.
That's perfect. Now,
I want
Now, I
to pose.
know-
Sorry, I want to pose a question. Sorry to cut you off, Max. And we're talking about long title reigns, and I guess it's a question for you guys. Walter was champ for 870 days, like 871 or something. Do we think that our head of the table is going to exceed that? Do you think that they're going to be trying to push him above what Walter is going to be, or what Walter was?
I don't think they care. Once again, I don't think they care about the NXT UK championships. Now, if this was the WWE championship he held, then yes. But because I think they don't really care about him, because they allowed this title to pass Brock Lesnar, they allowed his title run to pass obviously CM Punk, but they allowed it to pass John Cena, JBL, some of the longer title runs. They allowed it to go past that, and they didn't even acknowledge it. Every time you saw them, they're like, one of the longest title runs in modern, but they never ran down the title history like they do with the Universal or the WWE Championship. So maybe I could see it probably just to legitimately say longest title run, but I don't think they give a shit enough about the NXT UK title to even put that in the same light as the Universal title.
They could just say world title and that's it.
Yeah, because it's not a world title; it's a brand title.
Exactly.
You're right.
But no, one thing I want to say is, do you guys prefer the NXT logo or the WWE?
NXT.
Yeah, and I'm with Kevin. I think the NXT is better. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it pops.
I got to go with the NXT, not because one looks better than one does look better than the other, but I say it because WWE didn't build this championship. WWE didn't put this champion, and I know this is very counterintuitive to say, guys, don't crucify me in the comment section when you watch this. I look at NXT and WWE as separate entities. Not so much now with NXT 2.0, because you can clearly tell Triple H isn't calling the shots anymore.
Totally.
But when he was, that's when this title came to be. That's when this title was having great matches. That's when this title was having, Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne 2, Pete Dunne versus Walter versus Dragunov. Some amazing matches. So I feel like having the WWE stamp on there is like saying, Rob, if you're a belt maker, make me this amazing title, but put my stamp on it. No, fuck that. You made it. You made it relevant. You put it on the map. Put your logo on it. I just feel like it looks incomplete with a WWE logo. That NXT logo is the right one. That's the one that needs to be there. That should be there. That's where the credit goes. Leave it alone. They didn't build this title on Raw. They didn't build it on SmackDown. They didn't build it on pay-per-views. They built it on NXT and NXT UK. Put the NXT logo on there. That's what deserves to be there.
I agree.
I completely agree.
It should have NXT on it. It's an NXT belt, and I think it looks better too. I really do. So
I love the vertical NXT logo anyways.
Yeah.
Now moving on to the NXT UK Women's title. Another beautiful, beautiful belt. Of course, very similar design, but on a beautiful, not a white strap, on like a pearl white strap.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference. I know there's a white strap on like the white IC, but the one that I love, the one thing I do have to love about the women's titles in WWE is they use a pearl white like coating on it. I love that. It looks so good in light. You can see there the stones are shining. Even the strap is shining. Love this belt. Of course, it had the NXT logo on the nameplate. At the time when this was announced, the UK Championship, it was the WWE UK Championship. So I do like how this had this beforehand. I love it. I mean, all the things I liked about the men's title, same thing said to this, and it has a nice waist strap. I love it. Rob?
I agree. I 100% agree. And you were talking about that strap. It is like a pearl. It just gives a real nice shine to the belt. I really do. That main plate is killer. Again, I mean, it's got similarities, yes, to the main and to the men's. I mean, absolutely. I think it's gorgeous. And the way that it's sitting there, guys, it's just absolutely fucking beautiful. It really, really is. I mean, I like white. I like, pearl, whatever, but I like that you got it on that type of strap. I guess with respect to those side plates, they do say WWE on them. I mean, whatever. But again, it's beautiful. It really, really is. Kevin, what do you think?
For all the same reasons I like the men's title. For all the same reasons I like the men's title, I think this belt is amazing. When it first came out, I loved it. When they first showed it, it was really hard to see, like with this lighting, because the lighting is kind of cascading down on top of it. But like here in these photos, it is absolutely beautiful. You can tell the contrast. I love how, like, when Toni Storm had it right there, it had more of that brass look finish to it than more of a shiny gold finish. It just made it feel like this belt is a tough, rugged. You got to be for lack of a better term, you got to be a bad bitch to hold this belt. You have to be. And when you look at the champions that have held it, Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm, I love both those ladies. Rhea Ripley is my favorite female wrestler in WWE right now. Toni Storm ain't far behind her. I hate how they did Toni Storm tonight on Survivor Series. We can talk about that another time. But I absolutely love this belt for all the reasons I love the men's championship. And once again, the only gripe I have about it is, can we please see this thing more? Can we please see more of these matches? Because these ladies are doing amazing things. These ladies are going out there and busting their ass and breaking their backs and cutting their teeth to make this title relevant, and you couldn't give a shit less about it. Either give it the recognition it deserves, either let us see it more, or do away with it. Because the only thing worse than saying you're not good enough to have a title is saying you're good enough to have a title, but you're not good enough to let anybody see it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kev. I mean, the way that Toni was done on Survivor Series kind of pissed me off tonight. It really did. And she's an amazing wrestler. There's no doubt. She's
phenomenal.
She's one of my favorites. I mean, like, in the way that they're doing her, like, it just absolutely...
I called her to win both Mae Young Classics. When she didn't win the first one, I looked at my wife. I was like, she'll win the second one. Yeah. The second one rolled around. I seen Toni was in the tournament. I was like, that's who's going to win. Yeah. It got to the end, and she actually won. And then, like, her and Rhea had a phenomenal match for this title.
Love Rhea. I was just telling my wife that tonight. I love Rhea. I mean, those are my two favorites. I mean, absolutely. So, I feel you.
Rhea's amazing, and I love the fact that Rhea, and I'm trying to fact check myself just to make sure. But I love that Rhea is the only one to hold this title, the NXT Women's title, and a main roster title.
Yeah. She is. Yeah.
So
now all she needs is a SmackDown title.
Yep.
Yes. And Grand Slam. And now moving on to my personal favorites. I've been waiting to talk about this. For the NXT UK Tag Team Championship. Now we're going to talk about the replica a bit later, so I will hold off on that. But since this is a love at first sight, I am absolutely in love with this belt. My favorite tag team titles and current tag team titles for sure. I don't care. AEW, I love those titles better. NXT, everything. I love these belts. Everything about it. Now, usually I don't like circular main plates or circular side plates too much.
Max, we're going to fight.
I'm ready. I love this. Now, I know people are going to pull out some inconsistencies about the stones. I don't care. Because I can barely see the stones anyways because of all the floral pattern going around it. I know the stones aren't perfectly centered. I don't mind, to be honest. I love the two globes. I love that shade of blue. I think it's absolutely perfect. The sidebars. I've never seen sidebars like this before. And I love it. I love the stones on the sidebars. I love the black. looks so nice. Leather tooling, super unique. I've never seen any tooling like this. I love it. You can see a better picture here with the current tag team champions. I love those belts. The side plates, simple, but it doesn't matter because you're putting the disc side plates there anyways, so you don't need too much of a design there. Still great design on there. You can see the sideboards with the red stones on the sides. Perfect. Love the tooling. Love the nameplates. Love everything about this belt. And of course, we're going to talk about the replicas later on, which are finally released, which I've been asking for like feels like forever. But before Kevin rants on this belt, Rob, what do you think about it?
It's a unique title. It really, really is a unique title. I love the fact that it's got two globes on it. I really like the fact that you've got the NXT kind of separating the two globes. Really, really cool. You've got, you've got that floral pattern that's going around. The stones, you're right. I can't really see them. The sidebars are really cool. The side plates are really, really nice. If I were to comment a little bit about this belt, maybe just some of the things I don't typically care for. Kevin, you might say this. So when you give your opinion, I don't like Circle. I don't, and it just goes back to the 24/7 championship. I think that thing looks like ass. I'm sorry, but with respect to this, I find that the fact that you've got a circular main plate and then you've got that weird ass cut of the leather, I feel like the cut should be a little bit more tighter around it. I don't like the fact that it's not. And then you've got 4 bolts that are at the going, I guess, from all corners on just past that floor pattern of the nameplate. I feel like, maybe the leather should have been a little bit better. And I don't know why you've got the bolts. I really, really don't. I think it appears that championship it's stacked. It is, that championship banner is stacked. Thickness, it is good. Do I like it? Yeah, I do. And Max, you've been commenting on this belt. You've been praying for WWE Shop to release this belt, and they finally did. And so long. Does it still look good? I still think it looks good. I still do. But yeah, there are some things that I don't like about it. When I have belts, I'm not a fan of circles. I'm not. But again, it's still a decent looking belt. I know, Kevin, you're itching to give your opinion. Go for it.
All right. You know the saying, all good things come to an end? This was the end.
This was the end.
This was the end. Max, we're friends. I hope we're still friends after this. But here we go, gentlemen. Buckle up, grab your snacks, grab you a drink, because we're going to be here for a while, okay? Buckle up, take this wild ride that is Kevin, because here we go. This belt's way too busy for me. It's way too busy. I feel like you had this much stuff that you tried to cram in this much space. You can't honestly tell me take away the fact that you saw the other UK titles. If this was the first UK title you've seen, you can't honestly tell me you see that horse. Yeah. You can't honestly tell me you see the other horse or lion or whatever it is on the other side. I can't even tell you what it is. It's too cluttered. When you have that much clutter, I think the globes are the best part about it because it adds that other color to kind of break up what you're seeing. But even then, I can't make out what I'm looking at, guys. I can't, and we talked about.
I think you're just looking at pure beauty. I'm just kidding. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or in this case, beauty is in the eye of the beer holder. But either way, nonetheless, it's just really busy for me, guys. And the thing about it is, when you look at all the busyness, everything going on, all the traffic inside that tiny circle, but then you have this big blank space where they have those bolts. Extend the plate, let it breathe a little more, because you have like this silver back plate that's just really weird for me. It looks like a piece of sheet metal. Get rid of that. Expand your plate a little bit. Let the design breathe a little more. Break it up a little more. Put in some black in there. Put in some dual plated. Let those globes be seen. Dual plate the logo. Whatever the case may be. Whatever you got to do. I do like how there's minimal stones. There's not a lot of stones in here. I'm a big fan of minimal stones. I love the AEW title. I hate that it looks like a chandelier. And you know as well as I do, the thing about stones is they fall out. It doesn't matter how good the belt maker is. It doesn't matter how well you make it. It doesn't matter how much gem tech you put in there. It doesn't matter if you drill them or if you just stick them. Stones fall out. And once they fall out, the belt looks like shit. Doesn't matter. So I love the fact that it's minimal stones, but it's just too cluttered for me. I'm a guy, I'm a big guy, okay? I need my space. I don't like to be crowded. I don't like to be cluttered. And this belt just screams clutter to me. This belt screams hoarder to me. Too much stuff in such a small space. Air it out. Let it breathe. I feel like it's a good design. I feel like it's a great design. I feel like this was another opportunity where they could have changed the strap color and it would have broken it up a little bit. It would have allowed you to see a little bit more. It would have gave that extra layer of contrast if you changed the belt strap color. But it's black, and even looking at this, everything kind of blends together. The darkness of the plate, that back plate, the black strap. There's no tooling. There's no even a different color stitching. Even if it's black strap with white stitching, I feel like that might have added another layer of contrast. But it's too busy. It's too plain. Open it up, let it breathe, let me digest what I'm looking at, because even from right here at a close-up, high-definition, high-resolution picture, I don't know that that's a horse if I didn't already know. I don't know that that's a lion if I didn't already know. If I didn't see the other titles, I have no idea what I'm looking at, gentlemen, and that is my biggest problem. I don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, Max, but for me, the bolts, I don't understand
the
why
strap looks like a flat tire. The strap looks like a damn flat tire.
It does, but like it's almost like, I'm going down, and I mean, with respect to the leather, and I mean, sorry, Max, but if I was going down to like the dungeon and you've got like them like hammering like the coal, like, like hammering that's almost like how it feels. It is.
Right.
With respect to that leather.
You ever been driving down the highway and you see like the shards of the semi tires on the side of the road? It's like they grabbed a couple of those, put some sheet metal on it, had their daughter bedazzle it, scribble on it, and here's your belt, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a bad design. I'm just saying it's way too cluttered. You put this much stuff in this much space. Open it up, let it breathe, change the color of the strap, or add some discolorated stitching, and maybe we can talk. But for me and my money, it's too cluttered, and it's really flat. It's really, really flat to me. There are no dimensions to this belt. With the UK title, you have the dimensions. You have that black in the background that makes the gold pop. It's wide, it's open, it's breathable. This is too flat, and no stitching, no tooling, no nothing on that strap. That strap to me looks like a flat tire.
Yeah.
I can't argue against the strap. The strap does look kind of shit. But
it's even fraying out right there at the top.
Yeah, no. I can't argue against the strap. The strap does look pretty shit. But I don't know, something about the plates. I know it's very cluttered, very noisy. This picture probably isn't the best.
I think it'd be a great design if it just had a little bit more room to breathe.
Yeah. I agree. Maybe
I hate the cut. I hate the cut of the leather, but anyways.
Yeah.
And those sidebars throw me off.
Yeah.
Those sidebars look like somebody hit them with a rolling pin.
But they kind of look like nameplates, eh?
They look like they look flat. They look flat.
Yeah, no. Still my favorite tag team title. Still love these belts. Now,
yeah, once again, wrestling is very opinionated. We all have our own opinions.
Absolutely.
And there is no such thing as a wrong opinion. I know a lot of people who watch this episode are gonna be like, well, you're wrong. I can't be wrong. It's an opinion. You can't be wrong. It's an opinion. Exactly. How is an opinion wrong, gentlemen?
Exactly.
Now moving on to the official replicas. Now all of these belts did have an official replica. Not all of them are still being sold. The version ones, the ugly ones, aren't being sold, thankfully. Now, starting off with the version 1 of the NXT title. Now, whether you like this belt or not,
dog water.
You gotta accept the fact that this is a horribly made belt. 2mm plates, stiff as fuck strap, paint. I think this is the first time they started doing the fake paint that would peel off on the side plates.
Yep.
So, it's not a well-made belt. A horrible strap, like always. Stitching on the strap. 2mm plates. Even if you like the design, you gotta admit that it's a shitty replica. Rob, what do you think?
It looks like ass. It looks like absolute ass. Like, holy shit, guys. Like, seriously, it looks like absolute ass. This picture doesn't do it any justice. I think it looks stupid. You have this stupid X, fine, and then you've got the cut of the strap, and then you've got the snaps going above the side plates. Fuck, brutal, Kevin.
Another flat tire, gentlemen. Another flat tire.
Yeah, literally.
A fingerprint magnet. I've actually saw this belt in person.
like a
Not
mirror.
the actual one, a replica one. It's a big mirror. It's a big fingerprint magnet. Very plain. I wasn't a fan of the wide strap. That actually looks like a tire when you snap it and you hold it on its side. It looks like a tire. I was not a fan of it. It's just very, very weird, and I hate the fact that the X comes up higher than the strap. And when you have a strap that thick, nothing should go past that strap.
No.
That's like, so you got 20 yards of leather right there. Why do you have 30 yards of plate? It's just, and I'm sure you guys go through this as belt collectors. When someone comes over to your house, I love it when people want to look at my belts. I love it when people want to hold my belts. I love it when people want to look at them and they reminisce to their favorite match. I would never let anybody touch this because I would be tired of cleaning it, and I don't have that much ammonia-free Windex in my house. I don't think Walmart has that much Windex on their shelf to clean this thing as many times as you would have to.
No. And I mean, I can comment, and Max can attest to this. A former admin of Belt Addicts Anonymous tried to sell Max this title, and I hope this fucker's watching it anyways. Dude, this is a personal message to him. Were you successful in signing this piece of shit belt? I mean, what happened? Did you stick it up your ass?
Yeah, no. Horrible replica.
Nothing about that says brand champion to me. Nothing about that says pride in your work to me. Nothing about that says pride in your brand to me. And like I said to my original point, if you like this belt, if you're watching this and you like this belt, I am not shitting on you for liking the belt. I am just giving my opinion on it. If you like it, great. I say this all the time, and Rob and Max, I'm sure you'll agree. The only person who has to like your collection is the person who paid for it.
Exactly.
End of discussion. I don't have to like it. If you like it, that is all that matters. And if you like it, I am happy for you that you have a belt that you like. I don't like it. I think the only reason people associate with this belt is because it's the NXT rookie card. Balor held it. Rollins held it. Bo Dallas held it. Neville held it. Sami Zayn held it. And they had great matches for it. Kevin Owens and Finn Balor ladder match at the Beast in the East in the Tokyo Dome. Or it wasn't the Tokyo Dome. Wherever it was over in Japan during the Beast of the East tour. They had great matches, great memories. But those memories are not enough to make me like this belt.
Yeah,
it's just my opinion. Once again, if you like it, I'm not shitting on you for liking it. I'm giving my opinion on it. And once again, if you have it and you like it, I am happy you have a belt that you like. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I have to agree, and I'm very happy I ended up buying this belt. Now, moving on to a belt that I am very happy I did buy. It is the version 2 of the NXT Championship. Now, this is my second replica belt that I got, and I was so in love. Even now, I love this belt. It's a really well-made replica. Of course, like Rob was saying, one of the best-selling replicas probably of NXT or to this day. It's always on sale, so you can get a pretty good deal on it. It's a nice belt. You can see I got it here. The X is stacked. Pretty nice. Dual plated. Of course, I have the UE side plates I had to. This is re-leathered by Ryan Richards. And it does have a rock backing, which some people hate, but I love. Just had to get it.
It's like a throwback to the big gold. I love it.
Exactly. I really do love this belt. Not much I can say about it. It's a pretty good replica. One thing I do got to say is I did add wheel weights to this belt, and that is because this belt is very light.
It is.
It looks nice, but when I first picked it up, I thought it was a commemorative. That's how light it was. So I did fill it up with some wheel weights. Added about 1.5 pounds to it. It's not bad now, but yeah, pretty good replica, especially the new ones. They have the NXT side plates now. I didn't get this one with the WWE side plates. But if you buy it currently off the shop, you do get the NXT side plates that you see on the side there. Rob, what do you think about the replica?
It's a way better title than that other piece of shit that we had up on the screen. No doubt. I would get this title. I do like it better with the NXT side plates, but if you're going to change them up, you're going to change them up. It doesn't matter. I like what you did with the belt, Max, adding the weights. I like, I'm not a fan of re-leathering my belts. Most of all my belts are on stock straps, except for one. But I still like what you did with that croc backing, the throwback to the big gold. It's absolutely amazing. So, is this a great replica? Again, as we were talking, yes, it is. I mean, you can only go up from where they were at. So, this is definitely great. Kevin.
I just have to say one thing. You could go down from where they were. Do we remember the butterfly belt? That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. So it's not much different, but it's better than the butterfly. But I'm glad that we have a title that doesn't look like a tire. I'm glad we have a title that's not a fingerprint magnet. I was actually going to say I also have this replica championship. It's in the other room, or else I would have grabbed it. But Max, you're right. You hit the nail right on the head for me. If you order this belt, there's one thing I would change about it. I would get it re-leathered. I haven't got mine re-leathered yet. It's just not in the budget.
Right.
But I would definitely want to get it re-leathered if it ever was in the budget. A good friend of mine, Steven Hammer, he had his re-leathered. He added the wheel weights, and with that real leather strap and that close to authentic weight, if you know exactly how much the original weighs. I think it adds just that little bit more to the belt. I love it. I'm so glad that I have it. It'll probably be one that I never get rid of, or one of the last ones I get rid of, because I've actually been getting rid of a lot of my belts lately. Just because I've had them for so long, and I would like to see new pieces on the shelf. I get complacent, and I like to change it up. So I get rid of one to add another one, kind of a self-sustaining type thing.
Yeah.
I used to be where I want to have as many belts as Rob, where I can stand on top of my roof and take a picture and you can't see my yard, Rob. But I'm not that way anymore. I used to want to have all the toys and all the belts, and growing up and maturing a little bit, I'm not that way anymore. I'm good with a couple nice ones, and like I said, get rid of some, get some new ones. But that NXT men's and that V2 NXT men's, that'll be one that I hold on to, and if I don't, it'll be one of the last ones I get rid of, because it is so well made. I am very happy with it. But once again, the only two things I have against it, and it's not anything to do with the design, it's just the way WWE chooses to make their belts. The stiff strap and the hollow plates are the only two things that do it for me. But aside from that, I love the grommets. I love the dual plated. I love the stacked X. I love the legibility of it, the contrast of it. I think it's a phenomenal belt. And much like you said, there's very little you can do to go below what you had before. And I'm just glad we have a title that looks like a brand championship and not the spare tire in my car.
Yeah, exactly. Now moving on to the version 1 of the NXT Women's titles. Now I know me and Kevin don't really like this belt too much, Rob, but the replica itself is pretty rare nowadays. It is a figure sync. I wouldn't get this belt, to be honest. I just don't like the design. I don't care about rarity. I know Rob does care about the rarity, but for this, I don't care. I would not get this belt. No, not for me. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, and I definitely would, because of the rarity. And I don't usually restone belts. I probably would love to have this restoned, because it would I would need probably sunglasses just to hit the shine. I mean, it would. But again, yeah, the only reason why I would own this is rarity. Let's boil down to that. Kevin, what do you think?
I think it's funny that they put adult size, because if they didn't, you'd never know. Like I said, one of the smallest belts I've ever held. And let's be honest, guys. I mean, this seems like it's a straight shooting platform. You say what's on your mind, and the first thing that comes to mind is this belt is synonymous with Paige, and not for what she did in the ring. But either way, I got a little reaction out of Max right there, so I'll take that as a win. But I always wondered why the belt had a little extra shine to it. But either way, that's neither here nor there. I just didn't like it. Like I said, I could not picture Shayna Baszler or Rhea Ripley or Raquel Gonzalez walking into a main event of a takeover and be like, look at my world title. Really? Because that looks like my niece's toy belt. I just never really liked it. I thought there was a very limited group of people that this fits. As far as the belt replica goes, I will give it this. It is probably one of the most accurate replicas you can get right off the rip. as far as size, as far as weight, as far as everything. It is probably one of the most accurate belts you can get as far as replicas go. But when you think the real one is shit and this one's really accurate, that automatically makes that one shit. I just don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have to agree. Now, moving on to the version 2 of the women's title. This one's a very, very good replica. Kevin, you do own this belt.
I do.
I'd have to agree with the same things I was talking about the men's title. I haven't held this belt, but from the reviews I've seen and the pictures I've seen, it's very well made belt from what I can tell. Looks great. Of course, the stock strap isn't the best, but if you don't care about that, it's not a huge issue. You can always get it re-leathered. I really like the dual plating on the NXT logo. I've seen some people modify it and get it re-stoned, like put stones into it, where they drill out.
Where they stone the X.
Yeah, which I think it's nice sometimes. Sometimes they do like colored stones, which doesn't do for me, but it's not bad. I would get this belt. Like, I know a few years ago there was like the $50 sale, like accident that they did with a pricing issue. If it was something like that, I would for sure pick it up. But I don't really see myself ordering it because I don't want to get two of the belts that kind of look similar. But that's just my opinion. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, and I mean, as we were talking about, just on the other screen with respect to this belt, I like that, they have this distinguishable size difference between the men's and the women's. This is a belt, ladies and gentlemen, that I don't know, I haven't looked at the deals yet, but this is usually one that does tend to go on sale for a heavily discounted price. I know they had that glitch with the $50 thing that happened, but this is a belt that you could probably get on a major discount. I saw, and I know Kevin, I know you know him personally, but who? Oh man, I don't even know don't even know the name, but oh yes, of course I do. Belt Mark Bill, you know Bill.
Yes. Fantastic guy. Love that guy.
Amazing. He actually unboxed this, and I remember him in his video saying that because it was discounted, I think like 50%. It was like WWE Shop wanting me to get this. They were like almost like paying me to almost like get this. So I do remember that one quite well, that he did get this title. And it was a really good review. It really, really was. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. You can't. You can get it at a discounted price. Don't pay retail. That's all I can tell you. Kevin, what do you think?
Go ahead,
before
Max.
Kevin goes, don't ever pay retail for WWE Shop.
Don't.
Please wait. Like, I'll talk about it when I get to the NXT UK tag titles. I'm so close to buying, but I gotta wait till it's on sale. Go ahead, Kevin.
Before I give my take on this belt, huge shout out to the Belt Mark himself, Belt Mark Bill, one of the greatest guys I've ever met. I actually work for a independent wrestling company called Real Pro Wrestling out of Fort Myers, Florida. I'm their ring announcer and one of their commentators. And every time we go down to Florida and we pass through Orlando, I always make it a point to see Belt Mark Bill. He's opened his home to me. He's been nothing but nice to me. He is one of the most genuine people I have ever met in my entire life. He is such a good dude. He's got such an amazing collection of not just wrestling, but Power Rangers, Star Wars, Thundercats, everything. I mean, the man is a collector of collecting. He's just a great dude, and I cannot be more grateful that I got to meet him in person. And he is such a kind-hearted person. I had to give that man a shout out. He's phenomenal. Oh, yeah. He's great. But with that being said, for a long time he was my NXT guru. He was the guy I went to for all things NXT. And when I was talking about a buddy of mine who's diabetic who met Kyle, I was referring to Belt Mark Bill. But I love this belt. I love how it's slightly undersized from the men's. It's got a clear distinction. As far you mentioned the restoning, and once again, it's all personal preference.
Right.
If you want to get it stoned, if you want to get it whatever. Me personally, I never saw the point in restoning a belt that didn't have stones to begin with.
Right.
But some people like it, and hey, once again, it's your opinion. You're allowed to have it. The only person who needs to like what you pay for is you. But as far as the replicas go, I mean, I give it a 9 out of 10. I give it a 9. No, I give it a 7 out of 10 because that strap and the weight really throw it off. Like you could really just pick that belt up and not realize that you're holding it. It does have that commemorative feel to it. But if it was re-leathered and you put the wheel weights in there, I mean, it's second to none, guys. It really is. And once again, this belt has what I call the BFF, the big fight feel. It is This is a brand championship. I know I've said that a million times already, but it really is, guys. It is a brand championship. Once again, shout out to Beltmark Bill's fantastic guy.
Of course. Now, moving on from a beautiful belt to one of the ugliest belts in the world. I hate this belt the more I look at it. It is, of course, the NXT, the Virgin one of the tag team titles. And this replica is complete dog shit, just like the actual belts. 2 millimeter plates. They almost
Tell
look
us
like
how
one
you really
millimeter.
feel, Max.
I mean, they look horrible. And whenever I see anyone post this for sale, I haven't scrolled so much faster from a post. I hate that. You can see even the black paint. I'm not sure if it's actually paint or like stickers or whatever they use. It looks like it's like wavy. I hate that. It just looks so bad. The strap is stiff as hell. It has the stupid leather cut. Ridiculous. Rob, what do you think?
Oh, and it's, and of course I am going to shit on this belt, and I mean I'll shit on it again. Like an ex co-host of the Over the Shoulder podcast, Mike Morano, saying, having that eco-friendly belt. I mean, holy shit, man. This is pretty much up there as well with the eco-friendly and the Fiend belt. I mean, absolutely. It's absolute shit. It's absolute horse shit. I'm glad I don't own it. I'm really glad, Max, that we're eventually going to get it off my screen. That's how I feel about the belt. I just feel like it's absolute shit. It really is. I've got better chances of taking better dumps than this piece of crap. Kevin, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know what to say that hasn't already been said, gentlemen. Yeah, I just once again, it was my favorite of the V1s. It's not saying much because the bar wasn't set high. I did like the contrast in it. I did like the fact that it really looks like if you're holding the belt and you take a flashlight and you shine it to one side, it almost has like that reflective look to it. So I always thought that was pretty unique. For better or worse, I thought it was unique. And it was my favorite out of the V1s. But when you started transitioning to that more edgy feel of NXT, when you started taking NXT more seriously, when NXT started really becoming that third brand that would eventually go to Survivor Series and give Raw and SmackDown a run for their freaking money like they should have, and they should have continued to do, because that was one of the most entertaining Survivor Series in recent memory. We just had that discussion on my Twitch channel. But I'm sure somebody can quote back, well, in 1996, Survivor Series was amazing. Okay, I didn't see that one, and if I did, I don't remember it. I'm talking about recent memory. The one that had NXT on it was the best Survivor Series I can remember out of recent memory. But with that being said, didn't set the bar too high, but where the bar was, this did pass the bar in the V1s. But once again, I was in no rush to own this. I had no desire to own it. If somebody would have popped up and said, hey, I got this belt, I'm hurting for, $50 or $30, I would have got it, but I would have never paid retail for it. I would have never ordered it. It would have had to been, helping a friend out or something like that. But aside from that, guys, this belt was slightly less dog shit than the others, but still dog shit. Like if the others were dog shit, this is dog water that would eventually become dog piss.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Totally agree.
Piece of shit. So let me get off the screen. Moving on to a much needed redesign. Of course, the version 2 of the tag team titles. We talked about this more in depth, but talking about the replicas specifically. Now I looked at this a bit closer, and I do believe this is a different replica than the one I got. I originally got it like a year or two ago, probably a year ago, year and a half probably, and it was fine. It was 4 millimeter plates, hollow, whatever, super stiff strap. It did have the WWE side plates, and it was flat, no real curve, no stack plates. It was okay. I mean, it looked fine. The strap was stiff as hell, though. I did end up selling it. But this one does seem, I may be going crazy, but it looks like they did make the NXT and the back cage part stacked. On that side photo, it almost looks like it's stacked, like the real belt. Maybe I'm just seeing things. Maybe I'm sleep deprived. I haven't seen. I'm going crazy, but it almost seems like it's stacked now. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, it looks like it is. It is almost stacked, just a little bit different. That strap is as stiff as fucking hell. There's no doubt about that. Like, holy shit! Like, we want to talk about stiffness. That is definitely one. It's flat as a fucking pancake too. Like we were saying in previous episodes, when you're up in Canada, when you want to talk about flatness, it is as flat as Saskatchewan. Literally, that's exactly what it is. It doesn't. I mean, if the plates were stacked on the main, like if the main plate was stacked, it'd probably be a little bit better if that leather was a lot better with respect. But you know what? Actually, what am I talking about? I guess WWE Shop, when they put out these leather straps, they either hit it or they don't. On some of these belts, they're pretty good. Like, I mean, on my dual plated Winged Eagle, I mean, the strap is phenomenal on that one. It absolutely is. Like, it's just beautiful with respect to just the flexibility. And I mean, yeah, you're not going to get that with these straps. Some of them you would, some of them you can't. This one, you definitely not. If you are going to get this belt, I believe they do discount this as well. They do discount this down heavily. I know, Max, you're talking about buying retail. I mean, it's not my business, but I think this was one, right, that you almost bought
Yeah.
retail?
No, this one I did buy retail,
You bought
unfortunately.
retail, this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
You hypocrite.
I know.
Yeah,
I really bought two belts retail. This one and then the NXT Cruiserweight, because as soon as the NXT version came out, I bought it day one, like a
you had to
moron.
have it. You had to have it.
I had this a fool.
Yeah, I mean, if you like this belt, go for it. Definitely. There are still a lot of pluses with this belt. There definitely is. I mean,
Sorry to cut you off, but I
Yeah.
think looking at the shop, I think it actually is stacked now.
Do you think it is?
I'm looking at like zoomed in, and it looks stacked.
Well,
So-
when I look at the belts that are on the screen, I look at the left belt on the left side.
Yeah.
That side plate looks flat to me. Now, if you look at the right belt, the one where you only see the one side plate, it kind of does look stacked, but I think that's because of the thick, bold black outline.
No.
Gives it that 3D effect. But if you look over to the left belt on the left side, I haven't seen this belt in person. I haven't seen the side plates in person. I don't know. But just looking off in this photo, the left belt on the left side looks really flat to me.
Mm.
The main plate, the main plate, I mean, like the.
Oh, the main plate? Yeah, the main plate is stacked.
Yeah, it looks stacked because the one I had was not stacked.
Yeah, the main
layer,
plate is
not
stacked. I know that
down.
for sure.
So it looks like they upgraded their belt, thankfully. So I'd be really curious to see a review of this new updated version to see how it is. But
The curve is probably as flat as hell, though. There's probably no curve. And good luck trying to put a curve in on a stacked plate. Good
You
luck.
could try, but yeah. Kevin, what do you think about it?
Yeah, as far as the curve goes, the belt's built like Taylor Swift. I mean, there's really nothing there. But I really like the contrast in the main plate. I like how it's very broken up. It's very legible. That's the fencing material behind it. It almost feels like with that fencing material behind it, guys, it almost feels like it could be a War Games championship. Like if War Games had its own title, it would look like this to me. I love it. I've come to expect flat belts and stiff straps from WWE Shop. The only two that I held that I can actually vouch for, being softer straps, would either be the North American or the NXT Cruiserweight. I held both of those, and they had decently good straps. Not compared to like real leather, but compared to what WWE normally does. Those straps have been pretty decent. And once again, I haven't held this belt in person. I haven't seen this belt in person. I did have a friend of mine tell me that the NXT on the main plate was a relief plate. So that's how I knew that was stacked. But aside from that, I love the design of this belt, love the legibility of the belt, love everything about it. There could be a little bit more contrast in the side plate for me, like how you have the NXT, but then you have like that globe feature behind it. If those squares were outlined with thin black pinstripe, I think it would pop so much better.
Yeah.
But aside from that, the only real takeaways I have is I know it's a flat belt and I know it's a thick cardboard strap. Aside from that, I think the plates are gorgeous. You get this belt, you re-leather it, I think you're going to love it.
For sure. Now, moving on to the North American title. Now, I did own this for
Just
a bit.
fucking give it to me. Just
No,
take my
let me-
money now. Take my
Let me
money.
say
and
one
give it to
thing.
me.
Let me say one thing. I think the plates are too thin on the main plate. I wish it was thicker. I held it in person, and it felt too light. Like it's got this huge strap. Don't get me wrong, I love this belt with all my heart. I really do love this belt, but it just felt too light. It didn't feel thick enough for the main plates. I wish the main plate was thicker, and then the real belt, the silver globe part, it's not the globe, the continent, is stacked. This one wasn't really stacked when I held it. So I wish they could have upgraded it. Maybe they did. I'm not sure. I held it like a year ago too, so they possibly could have upgraded it. But when I had it, it wasn't best replica, but it does look beautiful. One thing is the paint on behind that sticker too. So a few of mine did fall off, which I had to repaint or like glue on. But what do you think, Rob?
Yeah, trying to cut corners again there, with this the paint crap. Um, you're right. That main plate could have been a little bit thicker. It could have been. It's still a great belt. It's still an awesome belt. I mean, it's a massive belt too, and it just breathes champion. It really, really does. A lot of things that I do like about this belt. There's a number of small things that I don't, but that doesn't outweigh all the good things about this belt. It's a great belt. I mean, any guy or any belt collector, if it's a rookie belt collector, or if it's a pretty experienced belt collector, I think they would be proud to have this belt in their collection. Definitely, it's a great belt. It absolutely is. Kevin, what do you think?
This belt always gave me the feel that it gave me a really weird feel to it in the best way. Um, Given the shape of the strap, every time I look at this belt, you know how like when Vikings would dress up to go to war, they would have that leather strap around their waist to like prevent from like stabs and stuff. The shape of those always reminded me of this. Like you put it around, like this belt was a piece of your armor. This belt protected you. This belt was a fighting belt, and I always love that. I always love that shape of the belt because of that. The design on the plates are great. I didn't know that the backing was stickers, which really annoys me a little bit. Like Rob said earlier in the show, if you're gonna spend upwards of $300-400 on a belt, do the work and do the work right. Because anybody else does that, they're called a thief, they're called a scammer. But when WWE does it, apparently it's okay. We've just come to accept it. But I love this belt. I can't say, aside from Damian Priest dunking it in the water, there's nothing bad I can say about this belt. I think this is a cornerstone. This could be a cornerstone belt for any modern collection. Keyword being modern. Hey, buddy. But I love this belt, guys. I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
It is my second favorite belt out right now, second only to the Men's UK Championship. And if you lose to the Men's UK, do you really consider that a loss? Because that's a piece of art in itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now to move on to the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. Now this is in better light, so you can see the dual plating a bit more. But this replica has the WWE logo, while the real belt doesn't have the WWE logo in the middle of the NXT. It's not bad. I think it looks a bit better in this lighting. You can see the dual plating. I really do like the side plates, the stock side plates of the NXT with the silver going around. It's not bad. It still has the weird leather cut. It's okay. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, I agree with you. The leather cut is just killing it for me. It absolutely is. I mean, and we talk about putting plates on, like putting plates on a strap that's going to allow for there not to have a crap ton load of leather exposed. I mean, it absolutely is. And again, as we were talking about this, why is this belt even here? Like, why did they bring this belt out? This is definitely a better picture. I mean, I'll give you that though, Max. It is a better picture because the one before it seemed like it was just one color. This does have contrast between the gold and the silver. It does. I mean, I would
It's
not.
not as obvious as the men's title. The men's title is a huge NXT. You can see in any lighting, it's dual plated. This one's hard to tell, but
it is hard to tell. I would not own this belt. I really don't. I mean, I just ugh. I mean, I don't know. I'd say ugh. And again, it's a belt that I would not be proud to have in my collection. So, I mean, I just don't want it. I wouldn't want it. Kevin, what do you think?
I wanted to say this when we were talking about it, when we talked about, WWE having too many titles. I feel like this belt is just there. It's just, the thing with WWE right now, and I don't want to compare I don't like comparing promotions or anything like that. And that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm strictly talking about their title histories. When you look at AEW's championships, they have three championships. They have four. They have the TNT, they have the women's, they have the tag, and they have the men. They now about to have the TBS title and stuff like that. But when you look at their titles, they have lengthy lineage title runs. But with WWE now, titles basically become participation awards.
Yeah.
It's not if you're going to become a champion, it's when you're going to become a champion. Everybody becomes a champion. Hell, Leon Ruff was North American champion. What was that about? Can anybody please justify that to me? I don't think you can. Tony Stark, not saying she's not talented, but she just breaks onto the scene as, tag team champion, but yet Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter can't get a fucking break. What's that all about? Can somebody justify that to me? I hate this belt for reasons other than the belt. They didn't need another title. They didn't need another participation award. You already had a title that went to all three brands. This title literally holds a spot, and it's to make other people feel good because now they have a chance to win a title. Put the NXT. I always thought that the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships should have been based out of NXT and go to other places. But instead, they based it on Raw, the most boring 3 hours of my life. But because I have a show where I watch wrestling, I have to watch it. My chat actually took a stand tonight, and I guess we're not watching Raw tomorrow. We're going to watch some old stuff, which I'm really excited about.
You're not watching that egg hunt?
Yeah, not watching the egg hunt. We're actually going to be watching wrestling's bloodiest wars on my Twitch channel tomorrow.
That's better than the egg hunt.
But I like the belt design, but I hate everything this belt stands for. Just another title to make people feel good, to make more people champions. Back in the day when you became a champion, it was something to be celebrated. It was something to be proud of. It was something that not a lot of people were able to do.
Right.
And when you look back at it, now there's so many titles and so many participation awards because that's what titles have become. But then you look back and guys like Roddy Piper and Jake the Snake never held the championship. Jake the Snake never held a single title. But people today are holding 3, 4, 5, and 6. Why? There was a reason wrestling was better back then. There was a reason your titles meant more back then. They are oversaturated with titles. They have too many titles. Stop it. Leave it alone. You didn't need these ones. But because you have them, I will say they do look good. They don't look the best, but they do look good. I like the contrast. I like the side plates. I don't like the leather cut. Once again, I feel like they took the V1 tag and the V2 tag and slapped them together, and here's the brainchild of those. Not a bad looking belt. I just don't see why we needed it.
Yeah, and I think you said it perfectly. Now moving on to the NXT, the WWE United Kingdom title and the NXT United Kingdom title. They're both replicas are still being sold on WWE Shop. I'm sure they're just trying to get rid of the WWE stock. I know they had like the WWE United Kingdom Deluxe, whatever the fuck that was. It was like
a waste of money.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. People who buy those, come on, like why are you paying that much money? It's not real strap.
I hate when people get the TV series. Newsflash, ladies and gentlemen, you are never going to get a TV accurate belt from WWE Shop.
Good luck.
It's never going to happen.
Good luck.
They can say it. They can say, "Oh, this is as close to TV as possible." All that means is, it's not TV. It's not TV accurate. No. Don't waste the money.
Nope.
Don't waste the money. Get a regular one, re-leather it, do the wheel weights, whatever you add the sidebars. You'll spend a lot less money and have a lot closer to TV accurate.
Exactly.
Sorry to cut you off.
No. That's exactly right. And this belt, it's a damn good replica. But Rob was saying the paint, the epoxy fills, whatever the fuck it is, the stickers, ridiculous that it comes off. You're paying that much money, and it's just so annoying, especially us in Canada. We can't even return belts or get a partial. The customer service here is horrible. A horror story that I told before on the podcast, but if you guys haven't heard, I had the NXT Cruiserweight Championship, the side plates, all the purple paint fell right off on the main plate. A bunch of the paint kept coming off, and this is like days after I got the belt, I was taking pictures, and then I was looking at the pictures. I noticed there was a bunch of paint missing. So I contacted WWE shop. They said no refunds. They couldn't send me replacement side plates or nothing. They basically told me to go fuck myself. They did not help me at all, and it's a shame. But this belt, if it's not, what you could do is just get if I want to get this belt, I really do want to get one day. I'd probably get it repainted, re-leathered, and re-sewn, just fully upgraded. Yeah. What do you think, Rob?
I do like the NXT version a lot better. And I know that rookie belt collectors will not be able to pinpoint this, but I mean, if we looked at the United Kingdom font on the NXT, it looks more pronounced on the NXT one than it does on the WWE version. I just like that. It's a little bit better. It's just, maybe it could be the lighting, but I don't think it is. I think it's just more pronounced on the NXT version. Again, and I also think that maybe it's because, and I could be wrong here, that maybe the cut is a little bit better on the NXT, but the NXT feels like it's actually kind of tilted a little bit back, not like with the WWE, so it may be actually the same cut. They're both great titles. They absolutely are. Pain is just a bitch. It is just a bitch. And as Max says up in Canada, we cannot do anything. WWE shop will tell us to go fuck ourselves, pretty much. That's exactly what they're going to say. So when you unbox it and when you have that belt, you're not just only unboxing it, you're praying that the fucking thing is not damaged. That's what you're really praying for. Anyways, Kevin, what do you think?
Absolutely love these belts. There's only one thing I would change about them. I love how the United Kingdom and the championship banners, they look like scrolls. I always thought that was a really nice touch. Love the artwork, love the design, love the black in the back where the design breathes, unlike those god-awful UK tag titles. But the only thing I would change, I do think the NXT logo looks better, but I would make it silver. And I know NXT, I know NXT's colors are black and yellow, but I would make it silver just to add that little bit more of a dimension, a little bit more of a pop, because that is my favorite part about the WWE logo is that it is silver. It's a different color. I would have made the NXT logo silver, and that's the only thing I would change about that belt. I think it's a 10 out of 10 belt, maybe a 10 or maybe a 9.8 out of 10 because it's just a minor detail, but I would like to see the NXT as silver instead of gold just to add that other dimension to it and really make that thing pop out. Change that NXT to silver, and I think you got a 10 out of 10, boys.
Yeah, I think that'll make the logo pop even more and look perfect. Now, the NXT UK Women's title, it currently has the gold, but I believe when it first came out, it had the silver NXT logo, which looked way better. And then I don't know for what reason they changed it to the gold, which just sucks. I really prefer the silver. Like you were saying, it makes it pop more. But even then, it's still a really good replica. Same things I would say about the previous one, the men's title. Same thing on the nice pearl strap, though. It's a nice belt. What do you think, Rob?
I like it. I really, really do. I like the fact that you've got that NXT logo, and I mean, it just pops. It really, really does. Absolutely does. It really is weird, though, guys. And I'm looking at this. The paint job on this seems to be I don't know. It just seems to be more bland than the men's version for some odd reason. I don't know. It's just really, really weird. I can't imagine the paint coming off of this belt. I mean, it would probably just peel right the hell off. It really, really would. It's still a great belt. As we were talking about the people who have held this belt, I think it's absolutely amazing. I really, really do. Absolutely love it. Kevin, what do you think?
Once again, love the scrolls. I love the minor change between the king piece and the queen piece at the top of the shield. I would still change the NXT logo to silver. But what I really like about this belt, and what I think this belt does better than the men's belt, it almost looks like the lion and the horse are more three-dimensional. It almost looks like they're coming off the plate a little bit more, almost as if it's a stacked or a relief plate. As far as the horse and the lion go, I don't know if it's because of the more saturated black. I don't know if it's because it's a different shade of black. I don't know. But all I know is that horse literally looks like it's coming off that main plate to me. And I love that 3-dimensional look. Both belts absolutely stunning. Both belts absolutely beautiful. They scream elegance. They scream class. They scream brand championship, brand supremacy. It is a belt that you can be proud of. It is a belt that you would be happy to show anybody. It was never defiled by another wrestler and 2 other wrestlers. But hey, we're not going to get into that. That's another show for another day. But I just love how that horse looks like it's literally jumping off that main plate.
Now, moving on to a long-awaited replica for me, at least. It's almost surreal being able to talk about this replica. I can't believe it. It's finally come. And it is, of course, my favorite, the NXT UK tag team titles. And damn, I love these belts. I really do. I've mentioned on almost, I feel like every episode of the Over Shoulder podcast, how I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this replica to come out. And finally, it came out, and it took every single will inside me to not buy it day one once it went on the Canadian WWE shop, or the US, it doesn't matter, because it was on the Euro shop for a bit before it went on to the US shop. And I know I wanted to buy it so quickly day one, but I gotta wait till it goes on sale. I can't do that same mistake again like I did with the NXT Cruiserweight. I love it. I really do. And you can see it has better lighting there. You can see the more detail. I feel like it doesn't look as busy when you can see better lighting here. It doesn't look as...
Don't you try to justify this piece of trash.
I love it, man. And then the silver NXT logo, beautiful. The globes, it's stacked. The sidebars. Now, one thing that I know will be a huge pain in the ass is those side plates. The blue paint on those is the exact same as the Cruiserweight. I know those are going to come off so quickly, so I'm not excited to be painting that. I'm probably going to have to paint it, so that'll be a pain in the ass. But other than that, beautiful. Love it. It's the best. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah. I don't want to rain on your parade, Max. I really, really don't. I still think it's an okay title. It's still a nice title. I wouldn't have it in my collection, but I mean, I have to start here. On this belt, on this picture, the circular side plate, it doesn't fit this belt. I mean, it really, really doesn't. I think that there's too much leather. And then you've got the 4 screws or 4 bolts that are next to it. It's weird. It really, really is. And then those red stones on the main plate, they are not consistent at all. They feel like they're just not level at all. You got the one that's up, the 2 on the sides, and then the 2 on the bottom. But the one that's on the bottom, it's just slightly higher than the one that is on the left. I don't think that is great. Maybe that was a fuck up from WWE shop, I've been told. And then you got the sidebars that kind of look like nameplates that are. It's like, I don't know. It is like sheet metal. It almost feels like it is. I can see the tip. That tip in the back is kind of nice. You're right though. The paint that's on the side plates, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I'll bet you money that paint will fall off, okay? That's just a beautiful thing that WWE Shop has been putting on their belts, is that stupid piece of crap, sticker crap that falls off the paint. It's just absolutely crazy. And you know what? As I look at this a little bit more, I'm sorry, Max, I do have to agree with Kevin a little bit. It is really busy. I do find it a little bit busy on that main plate. I never thought about it. I do like the 2 globes, though. I do like the globes, and I like the fact that the NXT does separate from it. There is better lighting on this. Definitely. It doesn't feel like a dungeon belt. It still feels like a belt, though, that does not have the correct plates for the belt. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Anyways, Kevin, what do you think?
Okay, so looking at the replica pictures, I think it's a better rendition of the belt than the picture we previously saw. I think they did better. I still don't like it, but I think it is better. I do like, what I think is unique about this is the only UK title that says UK, not United Kingdom. So I thought that was really cool. Just that little thing that made it different. What I would have liked to see, because for me, the lion, the horse, the globes, the logo, all of that is good. I wish it had a little bit more room to breathe, but that border, I wish that was like dual plated or something. Kind of give it a little bit more contrast. I feel like that's going to get really not busy, but it's almost going to be a little bit of an eyesore. At least it would for me. It's going to take me back to that big mirror. If there was something in there, maybe some black paint
Right.
to exaggerate those swooshes, or if it was dual plated or something to add that little extra bit of contrast. As far as those 4 bolts go, I don't know why those are there. I would have liked to see them be grommets instead. I think that would have looked a little bit better. But I will say this, I do think that this picture that I'm looking at right now is better than the picture that I looked at earlier. I never bothered to look up this replica because I knew I didn't like it. I'm not going to look up something that I don't like or that I don't want or that I have zero interest in. So I never looked this up. This is the first time I'm actually seeing this photo. Off of this photo, I don't hate the belt, but I don't like it either. I do think this is a better picture. I like the heavy black in the center. I would have liked to see that black leak out a little bit more to really accentuate that horse and that lion like the United Kingdom Women's Championship does. But I do think it is better. I would have just loved to see something else. I don't even think you need those stones. I don't think you need those stones at all. Add the black paint or add the dual plated part. And I think we're having a whole different conversation right now. But the stones are there. They are unlevel, but hey, it is what it is. As far as that side plate goes, I like the circular side plate just because it's different. Not so much the side plate itself, but the casing around it. We normally have like that square shaped side plate that the circle goes into. This is a circle inside of a circle. It almost looks like a saw blade in a way, or something like that. So I don't hate this. I don't hate it, but I damn sure don't like it.
So basically, what you're saying is what I heard is you love it now.
It's not what I said at all.
Yeah, I know, but like, I mean, I do know what you were saying. I wish they did do some changes. Stones, I don't like at all on the sides. I don't see the point to them. They should have been level.
I just feel like that extra outer ring is very
yeah.
Very
I feel like,
plain.
like you said, dual plating or like a bit of black paint would have added a lot more.
And the strap still looks like a flat tire.
Yeah,
There's
it's okay.
Wait, is there actually stitching on? There looks like there's stitching on this one.
No, it's like it's like the tooling they had was like indented almost.
Dented.
Oh, so it's lazy. Got it.
Yeah, basically. But it's okay. I'll once I get this belt, I'll upgrade it. I'll get it re-stoned. I'll get it re-leathered. Not re-stoned. I'll get it re-leathered by Ryan. I'll get a better leather cut, and you'll love it. Trust me.
And then once you do that, you take that other strap, you put it in the trunk of your car. That way, when you're broke down, you have a spare.
Exactly. It's 2-in-1. Now that does bring us to the end of our podcast. Before we do go, we have to give a quick shout out to Kevin's YouTube channel as well as his Twitch. Now, do you want to give us a quick rundown on your YouTube and then you can talk about your Twitch?
Yeah. So the YouTube channel is basically where you're going to see some belt reviews. You'll see some interviews. Like right there, I have an interview with former Lucha Underground World Champion Marty the Moth. Great, phenomenal interview. He actually opens up. We all heard the horror stories about the contracts in Lucha Underground and the kind of stuff they went through. He really opens up about that and talks about it. The man was an open book. We've become great friends since. But you'll see some of my interviews. You'll mainly see belt reviews. But everything is kind of switching toward my Twitch channel. And there's a lot more content over there because now I am a Twitch affiliate. I'm in the Sports Accelerator program over on Twitch, which means I have to provide a lot of Twitch exclusive content, which is why you see a lot more content over there. But on our Twitch channel, we are literally live every single day. From Monday through Friday, we go live at 7:25 Eastern. We watch Raw, NXT, SmackDown, AEW. We watch everything wrestling. If wrestling is on, we are live on that channel. Starting this Monday, I think we're going to try something new just because Raw has become so hard to watch. I was very embarrassed because I actually fell asleep during an episode of Raw while I had a full chat room, and I felt bad because I did that. But Raw's just gotten too boring for me, and it seems to be the general consensus. But we would love to see you guys over there on our Twitch channel. Coming up December 2nd, I actually have these right here. We're actually hosting our very first award show, so my viewers are actually going to get some awards for the top viewer, the top supporter, the member of the year, all that good stuff. So we got a lot of stuff going on over there that I'm really happy about, really proud about. And just like when Wrestling Review Society started, I have a phenomenal team around me. I don't do it all myself, but a phenomenal team. They work just as hard as I do. And I mean, we've become one of the fastest growing communities on Twitch. And I mean that we are currently in the top 1% of Twitch creators. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of all my team. I'm very proud of everybody that I work with. And it's just become something really fun and really new that we're trying. And so I would, if you guys want to follow my YouTube channel, that's great. But I would much rather you guys be directed toward my Twitch channel, because that's where you're going to get a lot more interactive content. You're going to get the same exact content as you get on the YouTube channel, with bonuses over on the Twitch channel. And it's all free. All you have to do is create a Twitch account. You don't have to pay for anything. You can watch it absolutely free. And if you don't have a Twitch account, it's very easy to make one. All you need is an email address, and it takes less than 3 minutes to make one. We would love to see you over there. That's twitch.tv/HeelKevin. I would love to see everybody there.
And of course, doing a lot of great things on YouTube and Twitch. It does bring us to the end of the podcast. Now, I think I forgot, but Rob, how do we usually end the podcast?
Yeah, and before we do, Max, I want to give a quick shout out to the Facebook belt group, Belt Addicts Anonymous. We're definitely one of the fastest one of the fastest Facebook groups that there is. We've got a hell of an admin team there. Myself as an admin, Max as an admin. We just spoke with Kevin off screen. We want him to also join our Facebook group. We're hoping that he does. But just want to give a shout out, of course, to Belt Addicts Anonymous. The way that we end this episode, before we do, though, Max, do you want to say what we're doing next week?
Yeah, for sure. Next week, we have a really special episode. Now, I'm not sure if we will have any guests. We'll announce it during the week. But next week, we will be going over the history of the Ring of Honor World titles. Now, of course, last week we did go over the WWF 2001 Figures Inc. line. Yeah, brings us to the end. And Rob, how do we usually finish it?
So how we do it always at the Over the Shoulder podcast is we just reach for a belt, we put it over our shoulder here, and that's what we do here. Now,
I mean, I got to go with this one, boys.
Yeah,
I got to go with this one.
So Max, the belt that you've got is just the
got the NXT, of course. NXT episode had to pull it out.
And Kevin, it looks like the big old Baltimore Raven fan.
It is, guys. I'm a massive Baltimore Raven fan. As a matter of fact, my little man that's hanging out here with me, his name is Tucker. I named him after the Baltimore Ravens kicker, the most accurate kicker in NFL history. He holds the record for the first longest and third longest field goal ever made. Both scored on Detroit, by the way. They can't catch a break. But yes, this is my custom Baltimore Ravens championship, modeled after the original or modeled after the classic Intercontinental. It is nugget textured. Each plate is double stacked. I love this belt.
And definitely, and you guys should go check out his unboxing, because I did one, or his review of that belt. I did check out that review. It was a really good belt. And the belt that I have over my shoulder, it's just a rarity. It's another rare. I like rare titles. New Day tag, 483-day title run of the New Day. Love it. So, but Max, you could wrap this up.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to check out last week's episode. We went over the WWF 2001 Figures Inc. line. Check out next week's episode where we go over the Ring of Honor World titles. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next week.